You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world. Hey everybody, welcome to episode 92 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name is Kyle.
I'm Corey.
Welcome back everybody. Another huge week in Star Wars. A whole lot to talk about this week. I've been chomping at the bit for like a good week now. Looking to get to some of these topics. But first, let's catch up. It's been a while since we spoke, Corey. How's it going?
Not too bad, not too bad. Kind of a bit of a dreary week, kind of. You know, we had some big news and all that in Star Wars realm. But even work was busy, and, you know, weekend was good. There was like a little carnival in town, so that was neat. But nothing, no...
Did you join, did you consider joining the carnival?
Dude, come on. I'm not going to steal their thunder.
So nothing big happened?
Yeah, no, pretty...
Nothing new to add to the collection?
No. It's, I took a break
tapped
this
out?
week. Yeah. It's only right. I mean, granted, if I haven't really gone looking, but... You know, if I would have seen something that, you know, I had to have, I probably would have had to have it.
Well, that's the thing, right? If it's like having junk food in the house. If you don't want to eat it, just don't buy it. Don't go near it. Same thing with Star Wars toys. If you want to save your money, just don't go to Toys R Us or Walmart.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, I kept myself busy in other ways, so.
Oh, I bet you did. Any boating?
No, I think the season's pretty much over with now, unless I just want to do some fishing and stuff, which could be cool. But yeah, for the most part, going out and like chilling on the water, like in the water at least, is not going to happen anymore. Granted, I would like to get out there again, but I figured I've already planned to take it out of the water in the next 2 weeks, I think.
That early, eh?
Yeah, just get it out of the way, you know. Don't want to have to get in the water in like October too, to like secure everything. And
yeah, I hear you there. Okay, well, I'm now comfortably ensconced in my podcasting chair, but you know we're gonna sit here for the next couple hours, and I know getting out of it will be agony. I'm in some significant distress. I played my first game of softball in a couple of years, and I went from like being in an hour of traffic to going straight onto the field and playing, which is not good. As you know, as you creep closer to 40, you realize just how important stretching is. And I got none of that. So a day later, I'm starting to feel it in the back and the hamstrings. It's all tightening up. It's over, man.
I hear you there.
Getting old.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, I mean, even if you had stretched, you probably still would have, depending how hard you played anyhow. Like.
Oh, yeah. No, I'd still be feeling it. The stretching maybe would have helped a little bit. But anyway. But it was fun. I have not had that much fun playing ball in quite some time. I had a lot of fun with a bunch of friends I hadn't seen in quite some time as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, nice day for it too. Anyway, let's get into some Star Wars stuff. But before we get there, we've got a new review. It's not really a new review. It's an updated review from an old friend. So Carlos went over to iTunes, fired up the old machine, and had this to say about our humble little show. Tumbling Saber, the best Star Wars podcast. 5 stars. I love this show. The only bad thing about this podcast is the wait for the next week's episode. A weekly show is just not enough. Kyle and Corey break down the week's news and listener questions with an Ashla and Bogan-like dance that teeters on the edge of the Force and will make your head spin, but leave you with a balanced point of view. Ads Edition is a weekly segment that pushes the envelope and raises the bar for listener interaction. And the music? Well, the music is epic. Yes, it is. If only there was a way to get more tumbling goodness. Wait, there is. Search for Tumbling Saber on Patreon and throw a couple bucks their way to get the Sith Disturbers and Journals of the Willing shows. And more coming soon. Your patronage also gets you their newsletter and puts you in the monthly draw for great prizes like Star Wars collectibles and more. You will regret not doing it. Subscribe today. Now that might be the best review we've ever gotten. Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, seriously, I had not read it yet, and wow, that just blew my mind. That's really well spoken. Even though like Carlos and I, we have a ball busting thing going on there. Like it is humbling a bit.
That is a fantastic review. Thank you, Carlos. That is epic. And I guess in the spirit of community that we're building here, I'll shout out to Carlos and his little guy JR for their newest project on YouTube. It's they're doing a bunch of toy videos. They unbox and play with various kid-friendly toys, Star Wars Nerf guns, Lego sets, things like that. And they're playful, they're fun, they're well edited. Carlos does a real. I assume it's Carlos. I don't think a 4 or 5-year-old is editing video at this point.
It'd be pretty amazing.
That'd be pretty amazing. But yeah, so go check out JR's Toy TV on YouTube. Look it up, and I defy you not to hit that subscribe button, and I defy you not to have a smile or two as you watch these videos. So way to go, guys. Good job getting this thing off the ground. Hope it goes well. We'll be there to help do our best to make sure it goes well. And again, thanks for the review. That was epic.
Yeah, seriously.
And like Carlos said, he mentioned our Patreon program, and don't forget we added that $1 option for those who just want to get rid of that of those annoying dimes and nickels you find in your couch cushion. Kick them our way. We'll put them to very good use, and we'll be forever in your debt.
Yeah, it all goes back into the show anyhow. So,
well, now that we do these giveaways, it's we realistically we've dug ourselves more debt. So
it's all good.
It's all good. Whatever. We're made of money, right?
Right. Whatever. What's money?
Our fancy Monopoly plastic Canadian money.
I think whatever. You turn money into Star Wars toys. It's like magic.
Just like magic. And Carlos mentioned giveaways. So you know what? I think it's about time we announce our next giveaway for the month-end Sith Disturbers podcast, which is exclusive to our powerful friends. So, Corey, I've been thinking about this one. You and I have been talking. And we did a bunch of shopping, as a lot of us did, and some of us had more success than others. But there's one toy in particular that's been kind of elusive for a lot of us out there. But
definitely,
yeah, but I think we're gonna help somebody out here. So I think we're going to give away a 3 3/4 inch Luke Skywalker, old man Luke, Jedi Master Luke. He's gonna leave the nest here. We're gonna send him out to one of our powerful friends. What do you think about that?
Well, it's pretty thoughtful. I mean, it may sound kind of cheap because it's like only a 3 3/4 inch. Well, whatever.
It's Luke.
It's Luke.
This is the figure, man.
This is the holy grail of this line, pretty much. Like, I had no luck finding it. I found it once, and now looking back on it, I should have really picked it up, but I had spoken to you earlier that morning. You're like, yeah, don't worry, I secured you one. So I was like, great. And I was like, I got you your hair. We're good to go. But thinking back on it now, what I should have done, interestingly enough, when I gloriously had this palette just unveiled in front of me of everything. Like, it was a pretty dinky palette, to be honest, but I should have counted how many Lukes came per display as opposed to the other characters. That would have been pretty interesting. But anyhow. Yeah, old man Luke sought after.
Know, but I'm sure you could find that info. I'm sure actually somebody listening probably knows. Tim might even know.
I think Tim would know.
Tim or Troy or somebody. Those guys are definitely in the know. Yeah, so there you go. 3 3/4 elusive Luke. He's going to be going out, finding a new home. Come September 29th. One of our powerful friends is going to walk away with it.
Wasn't there something a little more there?
What are you talking about?
Isn't there 2 Lukes to give away?
2? You know what? You're right. I thought I was seeing double. I thought I was still recovering from yesterday's barbecue with too many beers. I thought maybe I was seeing double, but turns out, yes. You're right, Corey. That's 2 Lukes.
Hey, don't bang them.
All right, so looks like we're gonna ship 2 old man Lukes out of here for our powerful friends. How about that?
Yeah, 2 winners this month.
Yeah, man. 2 of our powerful friends are gonna get lucky this month. Ooh.
Oh my. Sorry,
there
Rob.
You go. All right, so that's it, guys. We're giving away 2 Jedi Master Lukes from the 3 3/4 line. So if you guys didn't have any luck on Force Friday, well then, your chances of scratching that itch and completing your set just got a little bit higher. And if you're not part of our program and you looking for this figure still, head over to Patreon. Sign up, $2-3 a month. You're in, and again, your chances of winning are pretty decent as far as lotteries go at this point.
Yeah, really decent.
Really decent. Okay, and now since we're on Force Friday, Corey, I wanted to mention this because, man, we did a tap dance all over Walmart last week. Like, we really took a dump all over Walmart. And
are you talking about us or like Star Wars fandom?
Well, us in particular, but I think fandom as well.
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of stuff out there that I wasn't saying or you were saying. It was just other people, and I was like, whoa, all right.
Yeah, no, Walmart really took it in the chin last week. But you know what? I got a DM from a listener who will remain nameless. Sent me this really interesting bit of info. So, says anonymous listener, just listening to your latest podcast and the Force Friday discussion. As someone who used to be a manager at Walmart and still has friends in management positions there, I can tell you why it's always so disappointing. Force Friday isn't even a blip on their radar. It's not discussed in meetings or game planned for at all. It's just not enough money for them to worry about it. Walmart doesn't even start to give a shit about toys till November 1st when they rev up for Christmas. The rest of the year, it isn't a priority. Also this year, if your store wasn't big enough in size, you didn't get the half pallet of Black Series 6-inch, and those stores that did, odds are the person that was supposed to be putting that shit out was stocking back to school supplies, as that's the focus now, to get all that out. The other problem was distribution. Most stores didn't get Force Friday merch until Saturday afternoon, so it wasn't out on shelves and available to purchase until Sunday morning. So I would probably advise just skipping Walmart altogether in the future. Hope this helps. Enjoying the pod, by the way. Smiley face. Signed, anonymous listener. So, what do you think about that, Corey?
I think I love this.
Walmart just doesn't care. What's that?
I love this anonymous listener.
Like, doesn't that make perfect sense?
Yeah, kind of does. Kind of, they, what can you say? They have a monopoly in retailing at this point, pretty much. Like, it's kind of insane. It's Walmart or nowhere, really, if you think about it.
Well, as far as big box retailers and getting everything you need under one roof, yeah, unless you're online only, Walmart's the big boy, right?
Big time.
But of course, like they were getting these pallets of toys, at least the 3 3/4, and I'm sure they were labeled "Do not put on the floor until September 1st," and they probably were like, "Nah, don't care, put them out there."
Big neglect.
And I'm daring Hasbro to fine us.
Well, it's not even that. It's like open your mind, like open your brain, man. Like, what's going on? Like, think about it. When you're running a business, like even like a restaurant business, I heard this thing last night. It kind of relates to this in a way. Like, if you're a first-time client, they put a red napkin at your table, which signifies that you're a first-time client. So they kind of take a bit of special care of you. And the same thing for the second-time client. Because after the third time of coming in and you're satisfied, the chances of you going back for a fourth go up to 70%. And it's the same thing here. If I'm satisfied with my experience in toy shopping, knowing that they have all this other junk there, like, I'm going to go back. But now we have a bad taste in our mouth. And it's like a bit of almost like a grudge or a vendetta. Not like it really matters to them, I guess. But a large enough group of people, putting up a stink, like, you just tell them, like, here's the numbers right in front of your eyes. This is like multiple millions of dollars. I know it's a drop in the bucket, but I mean, come on.
For you and me, it makes perfect sense. Like, why are you just letting millions of dollars walk into the competitors' stores? Why are you doing that? But believe me, Walmart has done the math on this. They've absolutely done the math on this. And for them, adhering to the program, the Force Friday, the whole thing, the marketing of it, they figure that they must know that the return is going to be minimal at best. Especially if they have to get on board the whole midnight opening stuff, they don't care. You got to staff the store. These are big stores to keep running.
Well, a lot of the stores in the States, anyhow, from what I understand, are open 24 hours.
Well, I don't know that this applies to the U.S. Our listener here is a good old Canadian boy, so I can't speak to what's going on in the U.S. This is, I mean, I assume there's a bit of this going on everywhere. But this also explains is it ASDA in the UK or ASDA? I'm not sure what it's called, but I think it's their version of Walmart in the United Kingdom. And same story. That chain also had nothing going on in many locations for Force Friday. So it could be like a corporate wide thing. Just we don't care. This whole Star Wars thing is not big enough for us to care for anymore. Which for us to go, oh, how can you not care about us? We're so big and powerful. Meh. Check yourself.
Yeah, that's pretty intense when you think about it like that. Because I even heard in the last week or so that I didn't read the article, but the header was basically something along the lines of Toys R Us filing for bankruptcy or looking how to avoid filing for bankruptcy, which isn't a good sign because where else are we going to get our toys, man? Think about that. Like if it's not Walmart and it's not Toys R Us, it's either
where did I get mine?
Online and
Amazon, baby. Amazon's killing these guys.
It's just...
It kills the experience, right? It kills the thrill of going out the hunt and meeting up with fans and high-fiving and enjoying tearing apart a pallet. You don't get that if you order off Amazon. What you do get is door-to-door service.
Like I would hate to just be sitting there at my computer like all stressed, like.
Oh, geez, dude! I can tell you, shopping Amazon on Force Friday was the least stressful part of the entire experience. It was add to cart, buy. The only stress was I was expecting them to say there was such a rush of orders at midnight that we ran out of stock before we could tell people that we ran out of stock. So your order's was at the end of the list. We can't fill your order.
Yeah, exactly.
Or we can, but now the figures are $29. So, anyway, thank you, anonymous listener. That makes everything make a ton of sense.
And that's true. Just touching back on the giveaway, they were listed at $30 on Amazon after the fact.
Yep, just a couple days later, you could still get. Like I got Luke off Amazon for whatever, $9.99 or something. And now that same figure is $29 if it's available at all. It was a few days ago. I don't know about now. Crazy how it changes so fast.
Crazy.
But you know what? In this direct message here, the tell all DM. I did my Walmart is a really small one, really small. So it makes sense. Like he said in his DM, the smaller stores didn't get anything. Or or they didn't get it till the day later, which is exactly what happened in my case. I went on the Monday, which is after they'd received. They didn't even get any Black Series, but they did get the 3 3/4. And funnily enough, it was almost picked clean. There were a couple Finns, there was a Hux, but there were 2 Lukes. If you can believe that, they had a total of maybe 10 figures. 2 of them were Luke. No, they had actually. You know what? Less than that. They had maybe 6 figures. 2 of them were Luke, which is bizarre, which means there's some clueless shoppers, which is good for me. Or the stories are true, and Luke was just short produced because kids don't want to play with an old man. Right?
You have a point there. He does kind of look grumpy in that one.
They want to play with Finn, they want to play with Rey, they want to play with Poe and shove him in the X-Wing and fly around. What does old man Luke do now, aside from look grumpy? Kids don't want that. They might change their mind.
That's true.
Hey,
but there's no lightsaber
too. No, there's no accessories. 0. It's just a figure with a cloak and nothing else. But it's on the 3 3/4 thing. Did you see the images for the next wave, which had Luke with his poncho and Rey's? There's a new Rey as well. I think they call it Island Journey Rey. Have you seen those at all?
No, but that sounds like an awesome video game. No, but no, I have not seen them. But that I'm just like, you just got me all lost there. Like I'm reeling now. Like more toys. Like
it's never gonna stop until you're an old man. It's never gonna stop.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Anyway, the forthcoming Luke as part of the next wave later in the year, it looks so good.
That's crazy because this one looks great too.
Yeah, this one looks amazing.
Does he have his like little poor cattle prod thing in this one?
I think so. I think the next one does come with that little cattle prod stick thingy.
Yeah. Force lightning Luke.
But the Rey looks awful. She's been given this like molded plastic rain poncho. Like we've seen some of that. There's a picture of Rey wearing that poncho, standing out with the Falcon, and it looks fine in that picture. But geez, the robe that she's wearing just looks terrible. It makes her look 3 times her size. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll get to that when it actually drops, if we can get our hands on one. So we talked about this a while ago, as did everybody, but Disney is in fact moving ahead with the TV app that will host all Star Wars and Marvel content. That was the big question mark. Will they pull all this stuff? And Bob Iger confirmed that they will. They're going to pull it all and put it on their own app. That's a biggie, man.
What about like this? I heard other podcasts like the Nerd Room and whatnot speaking about Netflix originals like Daredevil and the Defenders.
Well, that's a sticky thing, right? It's a Netflix original. Netflix must have some kind of say in this, unless part of the contract is Disney will just say, listen, we'll pay you for that. Or you can license it from us. I don't know. Or we'll license it from you, but it's going to be on our app.
They can just, that's it. They can like, maybe if their contracts are up for renewal at the same time, like they're going to be like, here are the new licensing fees that are you willing to pay them? And they're going to have to say, well, no.
One way or the other, Disney will get its way. They will have all their content on their platform. I'm going to have a tough time not subscribing, I'll be honest with you.
Like, it makes sense, too. I mean, come on. They have 2 of the biggest properties in the entire planet, like Marvel and Star Wars. Like, I think if it weren't for those 2 franchises, they wouldn't have done this. It's all about this. That's why they're doing this. To me, anyhow. But I have a quick question for you.
I don't know about that. I mean, there's going to be like 700 or I think 7,000 other movies and shows.
Well, don't get me wrong.
From the Star Wars Marvel stuff.
Yeah, Disney's iconic. They got all kinds of good stuff. But, I mean, this makes it really... They know that they're going to have the market. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a risk at this point.
Oh, no. They know they're going to get big-time numbers out of this.
But
big time.
It makes you...
Are you going to subscribe?
Well, that's what I kind of want to ask you. Like, what do you think about things like the Clone Wars and Rebels? Would they... I'm not talking about those shows in particular, but moving forward with animated adventures and whatnot, do you think it's solely going to be on this... a part of this property now, or will it still be on something like Disney XD for the general population on like a... You know, like a common...
Yeah, no, I think you still want to make some content available to everybody so you can continue to rope fans in that way. But I won't be shocked to see, their own Disney original Star Wars programming on this app.
Well, that's it.
In fact, they're gonna need something like that to get me and a lot of fans on board. They're gonna need original programming there.
Well, I think that's where they're gonna go. I mean, I was thinking about it too, and yeah, I mean, it's probably gonna be worth it. Like, we both have young kids, so I mean, they'll love that, and we get our Star Wars, our Marvel stuff. So I'm sure they'll cook up a few good things for the clients as well, I would think.
Oh, I think so, but I worry about the price of this. It's Disney. They're kind of like Japanese automakers, where it's the same car as the American ones, but they add an extra 20% just because. So Netflix is $10 a month. This Disney thing's going to be $15 a month, and it's just one more expense,
Oh yeah, per month it adds up, I guess, amongst other things.
Absolutely.
You want HBO, like at a point, like it's things like this. It's a sign of the times, man. That's all I can really say. I mean, network television is going down the drain right quick, man. Like the whole television industry, in a way, it's gonna change, just like the movie industry, and
Oh, it's changing in front of our eyes.
Yeah, like before we die, we're gonna see some drastic changes, I think. In both television and...
Oh, we already have. It's insane how much it's changed, even in the last 5 years.
Yeah. It's kind of sad in a way. Like, I don't want to see network television go away, but it looks like it's going that way, and it's going to be hard to subscribe to everyone's stuff, so...
Well, that's just it. That's just it. I mean, DC's going to have their own thing at some point, which I will be very tempted to get. It's gonna, like, everybody's gonna have their own. Like, Amazon's gonna have their own. Somebody else announced that they're gonna have their own stuff. Facebook is now gonna be doing like TV content, which will be available on, I guess, on Facebook.
See, now I got $1 million idea here that I probably shouldn't give it away on air, but now for something like that, you get an application where, because is that going to be any cheaper than you're paying right now, right? Like, say if you have the Disney thing, you keep your Netflix, you subscribe to this new stuff, this new CBS thing, like, it's all adding up, like the same amount you'd have as having like full access satellite television, kind of, right? So you're still going to pay the same thing, and you don't want to be paying everything individually. So you get it all, like, someone's should coordinate all those things. But anyhow,
I'm sure somebody will. In
the
fact,
tumbling
I'm sure
saber
it's probably already happened. You get right on that, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Director of Promotions and Product Development. How about that? You like that title?
No. No, it's not for me.
I didn't think so. All right, so something sad here. Dave Prowse, aka Darth Vader, the man inside the suit, is backing away from public appearances now. So it's over for him in terms of conventions and other public appearances, and that's really sad. He's suffering from dementia, which you and I are all too familiar with.
Yeah.
We lost our grandfather just a couple months ago to dementia, and it's a devastating disease. So yeah, he's battling that, and yeah, it's another bitter reminder that, our heroes from our favorite franchise they're going to lose their battle with Father Time. Father Time is going to retain his title, and it sucks, man. It sucks.
Yeah, I kind of have the exact same note here. It's a shame. It's really sad to see stuff like this, but as we get older, I mean, I guess every adult kind of comes to this realization at one point in their lives, but like you just said, like we start to lose our heroes at a point, and it's sad. It usually happens kind of like the middle of your life, where those people you're looking at as kids were in the middle of their life. So made me kind of think, like that's why the 40th this year for celebration, the 40th anniversary, was such a big one if you think about it, with everybody that showed up. And I thought in my head after, and I thought about it while watching, which was why it kind of made it a very emotional experience, not only because of Carrie Fisher and whatnot, but just everything in general. Then think about it, like 50 years from now, Mark Hamill's going to be 75 years old.
50 years from now? Or 15?
10 years from now, excuse me, when it's the 50th. 10 years from now when it's the 50th anniversary.
Yep.
So, I mean, who's going to be around? And, what kind of shape are they going to be in? It's we really got it lucky this time around with the 40th. There was still quite a few people healthy around.
They'll all be in their 70s and 80s next time.
And that's it. Who knows if they might. It's inevitable, like you said, Father Time, and it's just sad and it's hard to think about.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. The 40th was a huge deal, because you don't know who's going to be here or well enough to partake in the 50th. I would imagine that's going to revolve heavily around the new heroes, and of course whoever is left from the originals. Anyway, this is depressing now. Let's move on to some happier news.
Like Colin Trevorrow getting out of.
Are you happy about that? Here we go again.
Can't say I'm really happy about it, but I will say that I'm not surprised, and yeah, well, maybe I'm a little happy that they pulled the trigger, man.
Yeah, I mean, of course we beat this to death when Lord and Miller were let go, and we said, well, this is the time when you need to evaluate Colin Trevorrow, or in these next couple weeks, and then nothing happened. So we're like, okay, like my take was, you got to go down with the ship with this guy. Soon, like they're really gonna get into pre-production, like really heavily, and like the script is being written. If you're gonna dump him now, and that didn't happen. So I thought, okay, this is it. This is the guy they're going with. But here we go.
Well,
we are right back in the same spot.
It's interesting you say that, because we went over this extensively, and it wasn't that long ago, and it's come up many times, even before the whole Lord and Miller thing. Like, we had the Book of Henry was, I don't know how much that plays into all this, but also
it doesn't help.
there was a lot of speculation. Well, not speculation, but people went back into his past works and they really weren't impressed with how he portrayed female characters. So that was being drudged up a lot.
And you know what? Rightfully so. Rightfully so. Episode 9 is going to be a big marker for two really prominent female characters. And sorry, dude, you get no second chances. It has to be right. It's got to be right.
Yeah, and also the pairing with Derek Connolly is, to me, it's very questionable. Like, I look at his body of work and I'm like, okay. And Monster Trucks, like, that's the one that's just like, really? Like, I get that he's worked.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
they've worked together before so many times. That's the thing. They're comfortable with one another, you know?
Oh, yeah, fine. Those two are a pair. That's great. I'm sure they work super well together. But I was never comfortable with Trevorrow as the selection. It's like, because you did a quirky, charming indie flick like Safety Not Guaranteed, which a lot of people like, and then you went ahead and Spielberg almost handpicked you to direct a dinosaur movie, which was going to make big bank no matter what, and boom, that gets you a Star Wars flick, an important chapter or saga closing Star Wars flick. That's all it takes.
Well, that's kind of the question, right? Like what went wrong here? And in my opinion, like, I don't think he was just chosen out of the blue. I guess he was on the map. I would think each of these guys came to them. Well, no, that's not true. After listening to what Rian Johnson had said, because they gave them all creative, to be.
Oh, we got lots to talk about creative autonomy. We're going to get deep into all that.
But in the long run, I would think that this is my understanding. Anyhow, this is the way I was kind of thinking about it. Is, he had an idea. Each of these directors / writers had an idea for a story. So Colin Trevorrow goes full on, pitches his idea to Kathleen Kennedy, and she's like, you know what? That's great. I like where you're going with this. It fits with our vision. Let's go ahead and do that. Now we can also remember Kathleen Kennedy quoted as saying Leia's movie would have been episode 9. So that would mean that Trevorrow's story was relying heavily on Leia. Now, due to this unfortunate circumstance, this tragedy, that character's gone, and he's gone back to the drawing board like he had to. His whole story is scrap. If Leia was supposed to be the focal point of his story, as per Kathleen Kennedy, then his story was kind of out the window, I would think. And that's why we started hearing about, recently anyhow, that, what was his name? Jack Thorne, I think?
Yeah.
He got hired to kind of start helping them with the script. And we said, okay, it might not be that big a deal. He's just coming in to brush some stuff up, but it's obviously not the case. I think his story was compromised by the events, and
yeah, there's so much we're not gonna know. We'll never know. Like, I think we can forget about the making of episodes 7, 8, and 9 books, the books that I love so much from the originals. We're never gonna see that for this era. And if we see some sort of official publication, it's going to be so polished up, polishing the turd. It's not going to be worth reading, I don't think.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, in the long run, the only thing I could really take out of this, and like, I'm not going to put really all that much blame on Kathleen Kennedy, but she has to assume some, in the sense that they got to start firming up their hiring process a little more, or making more clear their expectations. Now, I get that this kind of thing happens in the movie business all the time, and that Star Wars just kind of makes that exponentially a bigger deal. But in the same right, I get that it's normal, but, it's going to change the game, I think, moving forward a bit.
Yeah, I think it should. And you're right. I don't know if blame is the right word. Accountability, I think, is maybe a bit better.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't want to come off as, like, trust me, this decision is the right decision, and I'm 100% on board, and, it is a little late in the game, but they've learned from the past now. They've done it a few times. They're getting pretty familiar with this whole thing, and it's like, hey, let's cut our losses now, and, it's going to be better like this.
Yeah. Now, do you think he walked away? Like, the statement that was released last week kind of said, they mutually agreed to part ways. Now, do you believe that, or do you believe he was canned?
Well, I think it always comes off like that. It's either, the only other way I could see is that he still had some kind of story in his mind that he wanted to relay, and it wasn't within their comfort zone anymore. They're like, you're not on the same page, and he's like, well, this is my vision, this is the way I want it to go, this is what I see, and they're like, well, no, unfortunately, we're not going to let you do that, and he's, okay, well, we need to part ways at this point. I could see that more being the case, but I see him being more stuck with the story, and them kind of looking at what he's been working with. They have to be reviewing what he's doing, and saying like, yeah, like we're not on the same page. We're not on the same page. And
yeah, this isn't ringing our bell, Colin.
Yeah, and it's just, I think he, again, since Carrie Fisher's passing, I think he's kind of in himself not, he's stressed himself out over this film way too much, and the build up, the media, social media as well. It's probably kind of eaten him alive, and just said, I don't know. I don't have a solid enough foundation to do this. And they're like, we understand.
Yeah, that's it. I don't think people do that. And it's like a pro athlete, right? If they have a cracked bone in their foot, or pick your sport and break one of their bones, a crucial one for that sport, and there's a big game coming up, and everybody's wondering, is Johnny gonna play? We know he's hurt. No, I'm good. I can play. Are you going to be 100% though? Yeah, I'll be fine. Like these guys will not sit unless you sit them as a coach. They never do. So I have a very difficult time believing that Trevorrow at any point said, you know what, Kathleen, this is too hard. I can't work this out. I'm not doing this justice. My creativity as a filmmaker, the biggest opportunity I'm ever going to get in my career, I can't handle it. I'm going to walk away. Like I don't think that happened. Like I think,
or
if
you'd be
that
like,
were the case,
the story that I'd already written, like I just can't get that out of my head, and I got nothing.
Well, maybe, yeah. Like if you have an idea for something, and you're just married to that idea, and I got to do it this way, and I can't think of another way to make it better. Maybe he's just married to his headcanon. But a piece came out on Friday, and thanks to Nathan Roberts for pointing that out. But it cites a source close to the production of Jurassic World and Book of Henry that said that Trevorrow's ego was unmanageable, and that he'd become very, very difficult to work with. And I don't think they said the word arrogant, but if you read between the lines, I think that's what they're saying about the guy. And I guess you could take this with a grain of salt because it's an unnamed source. I don't know how much is actually true, but I mean that the piece is a bit of a rip job on Trevorrow. But the moral of this story is don't mess with Kathleen Kennedy, because she's going to protect Star Wars with a singular focus, and which is, let's not kid ourselves. This is what we want, right? Like, we want her to babysit and care for Star Wars as much as we all think we would, right? If we were in her spot.
100%. We need an overseer. We need someone who understands, who's, like you said, willing to make these decisions. And I'm 100%. We definitely need an enforcer.
Yeah, I mean, of course, because Kathleen Kennedy is a woman, it's not like she's been on this job for 2 weeks. She's one of movie business's most successful and powerful people. But it's not going to stop some silly narrative that she's a bloodthirsty power mad authority that just likes to use her power to get what she wants. I think that's a bit silly. Because you know what? If we saw a bad string of Star Wars movies, we would crush her, right?
100%. Like, we'd be on, and I wouldn't say again, it's the whole thing that she's a woman, it just makes me so upset on so many levels. On both sides,
stupid.
too.
It's stupid. Come on.
It is. I look at it from both perspectives, and I see people arguing about it, and I'm like, get over yourselves. Like, seriously.
Like, this is somebody who grew up next to Steven Spielberg, and she's married to Frank Marshall. Like, these are people on the Mount Rushmore of movie making. Like, she's right there with them. She knows exactly what she's doing. Anyway, I guess what we know for sure now is that what we should have learned from the Lord and Miller thing is that it's never too late to make this kind of move. They'll do it, or she'll do it, or whatever, committee that they make these decisions. Well, that's the other thing, right? Talking about smashing Kathleen Kennedy about this, as if she's like sitting on a throne somewhere, making these decisions unilaterally without speaking or stressing about this with anybody. Like I'm sure she's losing a lot of sleep over this.
Of course, she has people to answer to too.
Well, yeah, she does. Absolutely, she does. But I think it's clear now. Like we've talked about, like what keeps going wrong. Why has this happened? 3 to 5 times now? Like, and all's well that ends well. But the only way I could think of why this keeps happening is like when they first hired on all these people, they hadn't finished a movie yet, so maybe they themselves didn't know what they wanted. And then once The Force Awakens came out, the picture became clearer. And then they went through all that turmoil with Rogue One, but then they learned lessons from that. And they're applying them as they go forward. So maybe it should be a bit messy to start. And now, Episode 9 will be a bit of a break internally, I think, for them. And at that point, maybe they'll be able to reassess and redefine how they communicate with future directors and writers. Anyway, that's my uneducated take.
Well, I kind of agree with you there. Like you said, sooner rather than later, it's never too late. But frankly, this is the soonest it's ever been. Like Lord and Miller were deep in. What's his name? Who's on Rogue One before Gareth Edwards?
Well, there's always Gareth Edwards' movie. They brought in, oh boy, they brought in somebody to help him rewrite it or rescript a bunch of stuff. But his name escapes me now. Was it Gilroy or I can't remember.
Yeah, either way, it's a learning process for them. They attained Lucasfilm in 2012, where it's 5 years later now, and we've already seen 2 films, and we got like 3 in production. I mean, come on, like the machine's slowly starting to pick up some steam here. You know what I mean? Like they're growing pains, and this is a part of them. And like I said, this is the soonest they've done it yet, and they're cutting costs and they're moving forward.
Yeah, growing pains. That is a saying for a reason, because it's a thing. Growing pains are a thing. It's sometimes can be really messy. Yeah, no, I just want to go back for a second to Trevorrow and whether or not he chose to walk away on his own, and I don't think so. I think if this was a thing where, honestly, Kathleen and guys, I'm tapped out. My creativity is sapped. I'm personally not doing this saga that I love justice, so I'm going to bow out while there's still time and you guys can find somebody who can do it. If that was the case, that would have been reflected in the wording that of the statement. Lucasfilm 100% would have said something to the effect of like Colin's respect for the saga and the fans supersede his desire to put something out there just to get his name on it. It would have said something to that effect, and would have made him seem like it would have made him like a hero for walking away instead of making something subpar.
Well, if he was, like you said in that article, that anonymous article, whatever, that he was kind of, I don't know, cocky, arrogant, that, from what we've heard, they have a bad taste in their mouth for something like that, and they need players. Like, Rian Johnson is their poster boy right now.
Oh, yeah. So, okay, so let's just touch on this creative autonomy thing. Like, does this put a wrinkle in the creative autonomy argument? And I'll just quickly say, from my point of view, yeah, like Ryan has said all along, that you can do whatever you want, but I think there's an asterisk there that says so long as it lines up with what Lucasfilm wants, assuming that you've been collaborating with Lucasfilm as you go along. Yeah, you can do what you want. And I think that's the part that kind of gets omitted here. And Edwards played ball. He allowed somebody in to come in and help him rewrite. Lord and Miller didn't play ball. And it sounds like Trevorrow wanted this to be his thing, and somebody didn't like it, or some buddies didn't like it. Trevorrow tried to hold his ground, and he got thrown overboard. That's it.
Yeah, that's the way it works. You can't be bigger than Star Wars.
No, exactly. Anyway, so the aforementioned Nathan, he's got a lot to say. I got a lot of time for Nathan, so he flipped me an email and just wanted to share his thoughts on this whole situation. So Nathan says, "Hey guys, hope you had a great week. I thought I'd throw in some thoughts on the, air quotes, situation at Lucasfilm and its seeming director issues. A lot of people have been having trouble reconciling Rian Johnson's statements about how much creative freedom he had on The Last Jedi and the drama surrounding the firings of 3 directors and the intervention in the Rogue One production. I think it comes down to this. Johnson has said that when writing The Last Jedi, he took regular meetings with the story group because he was excited to develop the story with them. Though I don't recall Gareth Edwards saying anything quite like that, he did seem to have a similar attitude in making Rogue One, which I agree with. I remember, yeah, he was all about that. Those 2 are the 2 new directors that have remained on the movies and have director credits. It remains to be seen whether or not Lord and Miller will. By most reports, it seems that Lord and Miller, as well as Colin Trevorrow, may have had an issue with this collaborative nature of Lucasfilm. Josh Trank is a whole other thing, but lack of willingness to collaborate on Fantastic Four, among other issues, is a likely reason he was let go. It seems that if you go in wanting the process to be collaborative, you'll be given creative freedom. Working with Lucasfilm to develop your ideas allows you all the freedom to make your movie. You are not, however, given the freedom to not want to collaborate. Sorry that this is so long and a bit abstract, but I hope I got the idea across. Have a great show, boys." That from Nathan Roberts. Thank you, Nathan. And no, that was not too long. It was just as long as it needed to be, sir. And I can't disagree with any of that. If you want to sit with us and work with us to develop this thing together, great. We'll help you, define the boundaries of the sandbox. If you do something that is conflicting with something that's happened in the past, they'll say, no, we've covered that, or it conflicts. Let's move away from that. Fine. That's called collaboration. And that's how the job gets done these days. If you're going to walk in, where your head can't fit through the door because your ego's so big, Colin, and decide that, no, this is mine, you hired me to do this, I'm going to do it. Then, you know what? You're going to get what's coming to you. This is a group effort, even though you're in the director chair. So watch yourself, Colin.
I couldn't agree more. When it comes to these things, you got to be a team player. And when it comes to Star Wars, it's not, again, no one's bigger than Star Wars, and it takes a team, a collaborative team that knows a lot of stuff about Star Wars to make it work. And that's, like you said about Rian Johnson, saying bouncing ideas off one another, and that can change things too,
Yeah, we'll get to this later more with Rian about just how much he's spoken with Lucasfilm and how much contact and communication he has with them. You don't hear that from anybody else. So anyway, we'll get to that a bit later. But let's talk about where we go from here, Corey. So I don't know if Jack Thorne is also out of work now. I have no clue. But we know Derek Connolly and Colin are out. So where are we going from here? Are we starting over?
Well, it's interesting because I had the same question as you about Jack Thorne, but so do we need a rewrite? Kind of is your question, I guess.
Well, this is the big question, because I imagine nobody has the appetite to push back the May release. So I think if they keep the script and they just rewrite parts of it, then let's just plow ahead and stick with May 2019. If they're going to just press the plunger and dynamite his Colin Trevorrow's work, is there any way they can stick to May 2019 at this point if they're starting from scratch?
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it's pretty much like a 70-80% rewrite, in my opinion. Maybe not so much the dialogue and all that, but think about it. I just mentioned it earlier about Colin Trevorrow saying, or Kathleen Kennedy saying that story was Leia's story. That story was Colin Trevorrow's story. So that he would have had to go back to the drawing board and keep presenting ideas, and this is where I want to go, and they would have been like, I guess again, no, creative differences, I depart. But I think Lucasfilm in general has a very rough idea. They have a bones to this story that they want to come across, I would think at this point. But they do need someone to come in and put the puzzle together, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I mean, we're Sunday night right now. There's been no announcement, to my knowledge, that this is the person that's coming in. Remember when Lord and Miller were kicked out? That's the same night there were rumors swirling that Ron Howard was going to be the guy. There were a couple other names, but everybody hit hard on Ron Howard. And a few days later, turns out, yep, he's in. But I've not seen anything yet about who's coming in to pick up the slack from Colin Trevorrow's absence. So I mean, it's a huge question, right? Like if you're
sure,
if you're keeping up Trevorrow's work and you're just going to try and polish it up with somebody else, you can stick to the May 2019 thing, and maybe you get Rian Johnson to come back. He said he would do it in a heartbeat, right? He would love to do it. So can he do 2 movies back to back? That's a lot of work, man. Can you do that?
It'd be hard on him. I mean, in this interview I think he had just taken a small break, and I'm kind of thinking a few days at least after the editing of the music, I think. So,
yeah, you take at least a couple weeks, right? But he's going to be part of the whole media push when, come November and stuff like that. Start doing appearances on talk shows and radio shows and going around the world to start promoting the film. Like there's not going to be a lot of rest for this guy.
Well, this is one interesting thing, way of looking at it. Now, he's written this story and he's just delved so deep into it. And I granted, he does need a break, but there's got to be a small chance, and I mean a big chance, really. That
way to cover your bases there.
He has to be in his own head before even hearing about Colin Trevorrow, and he's probably in the know as well that things aren't going that great. But either way, he's probably developed a story in his own head about Episode 9 as well.
Oh, sure.
He's written 8, it's all about him and how he feels. If he could put out a quality product, then by all means. But it's, again, you can't feel obligated to do this a second time around anyhow. Especially if you're fatigued and, this is a very demanding process. Like, he's been involved with this for 3-4 years now.
Yeah. So what's another 2? No, I don't know. I imagine he would do it. Like, you just don't turn down these opportunities. But who would want to come in and use somebody else's script? Especially
if exactly it.
Right? Like, he's going to have insight into Leia and Carrie Fisher. And actually every single character that Colin does not have. He's not... I don't know if he's met the actors. I assume he has, but he's not had the exposure and the connections with them that Rian Johnson has. So Rian, I imagine, would probably want to say, I need to write this myself, or this needs heavy rewrites. At that point, you got to think they push back the release.
Not necessarily.
I mean, but I don't know. I think Rian Johnson's the only guy that can come in and do that heavy lifting, and keep the May release.
It's hard to say.
If they're gonna scrap most or all of what's there, I think Johnson's the only guy that can effectively and efficiently pick up that slack.
I don't think that's necessarily true in the sense that if you have someone like Johnson, he did both. He wrote the story and he's directing, which is really unique and interesting. But let's just and
that's the thing, right? We're almost begging Johnson to come back, but we haven't seen his movie yet. We might really despise it.
Exactly. Like, I have that later on in the show in my notes, but I mean, that's it. We haven't seen the movie. and basically he's just gotten high praise from the uppers at Lucasfilm, saying that he's been a dream to work with. His vision has been amazing. The actors have said the same thing. And I think the general audience as well has a really good feeling about this film for some reason. Like myself, I'm on that boat anyhow. And I just feel the build up starting to get there now. And
yeah. This movie has just gone flawlessly so far. Yeah, I mean, some potential story points are like, what are you doing? This is scary, man. But otherwise, it looks right. It sounds like it's going to be right. Everybody's saying the right things. There's nothing at all negative to say about the production of the movie. So, okay, a lot of people, aside from Johnson, a lot of people are saying, hire a woman. This is your opportunity to bring in a woman to write Rey's closing chapter. It is extremely difficult to argue with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense from a political standpoint for me. Like, it does. It'd be nice, but for me, it's about someone's vision. And granted, okay, this would work for me. If you want to hire, and this is how they can get it out on time still as well, which isn't a big deal for me. I don't care either way, but you hire a writer or a group of writers to cobble together a story collaboratively with the director. Maybe not even necessarily. Some directors, they read a book and say, man, I want to make this movie. You know what I mean? So you hire a story team to put together the story you want, and you hire the seasoned director that can follow through with the vision. You don't necessarily need someone that's doing both, they just need to be on the same page and work together.
Yeah, no, you don't need a writer and director to be the same person. But what about, like, this makes all kinds of sense to me. So what if Rian Johnson writes it, rewrites episode 9, but you get a woman to direct it?
Hey, I'm on board. Like, as long it's all about the vision of that person. Does it do it justice? Like, that's what it is for me. Like, if you got going in there with your own agenda or something, like no, I want the best director on this film. Granted, if it's male or female, it doesn't bother me. I think it makes sense, again, for it to be a female, but it has to be the right fit. Someone that's passionate, someone that's on board, and someone that's going to get the job done.
There's a bunch of suggestions. Ava DuVernay seems to be at the top of everybody's list, and she's a confessed Star Wars diehard. I don't know what she's doing at this very moment, but I personally hope she's sitting by her phone. And I hope she's had a few conversations at this point. Because let's face it, the next person's already hired, right? We just don't know who it is yet.
Yeah. When they make announcements like this, I think we've learned in the past that, they're circling people. They got their bases covered. I mean, it's just maybe a matter of hammering out the details of contracts and whatnot.
Yeah. And one of the things I read, and this is one of the things where I'm like, you know what? Like, go find a woman. Go back the money truck up to Ava DuVernay's house and do what you got to take to get her into the studio with you. So I read a bunch of people, mostly women, saying with Wonder Woman, like watching her portrayal and the things that they made them as female audience members feel for this hero, it's something that only, like, there was nuance to the character that only a female director could have pulled out of the actress Gal Gadot. I'll buy that. So yeah, if I want the best performance and the best impact from Rey and from Leia, and if we want those characters to mean what I think we all want them to mean to everybody, do what you got to do.
We're definitely not going to see Leia. But
what's that?
So we're definitely not going to be seeing Leia in episode 9, but
well, no. Anyway,
but I know what you mean, a female perspective, and it does make sense. But my main opinion is that they need to be a collaborative part of the team. That's a part of the vision that has, their goals that are on the same page as everyone else. That they want to make a quality product. That's all it's about. It's about a human making a good movie to me, like not about a woman.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, but that's sort of a strange argument, because if you just if you say just get all the best directors you can available, 98% of them are going to be men. You have to make a concerted effort in 2017 to pick the woman. And that's what I'm saying. Pick, if you can, if there's a really qualified candidate, pick her.
Granted, again, I think they'd want to go in that route as well, with the main protagonist being a female, but it's got to be about the story more than anything, other than serving purposes and agendas to me. If you get a female perspective that's on board, hey, great. Go for it. I'm 100%, 120, 200% on board, Just about understanding the characters and doing them justice to me, man. Like,
yeah, I mean, but anybody could do that.
I don't know about if anyone could do that. I obviously don't think Kathleen Kennedy would disagree with you.
So not okay, fine. I don't mean anybody just pick Joe Blow out of the public, but anybody, regardless of gender, who's qualified for that job is able to follow directions if they want to. Like some people, i.e. Colin Trevorrow and Lord Miller, apparently did not follow directions. Anyway, I think I don't know. I think we've made our point.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think this will start to get cleaned up. We said it the last time. This can't happen again. But now it really can't happen again. Barring personal emergencies or something like that. They have to get the process right starting now, because it seems like, with no other movies on the slate beyond Han Solo that we know about, we suspect Obi-Wan, but until it's official, it's not there. They've got to clean up the process. You got to, and this is where Kathleen's accountability comes in. They have to make these people understand that this is a group effort. You're the director, you're ultimately the boss here, but you're going to work with these people to develop your ideas. Like, follow Rian Johnson's template. Pick up the phone and talk to him as much as you need to about how to be successful as part of this group. That's got to be part of the conversations going forward.
Yeah, because if not, like, it's sad to say, like you just said it in a way, these things happen, but people, the clickbait and the articles coming out saying that the franchise is in absolute peril and it's going down like the Titanic. They're just going to come out more and more and more.
Whatever. Smart people know how to avoid clickbait. Okay, enough about that. Colin Trevorrow, so long. It's really a shame. I guess it's a shame, right? I can't confess to be sorry that he's gone. In another world, I wish this could have worked out for him. But this has been a nightmare summer for him. His passion project got destroyed, and he lost episode 9.
Yeah,
this could be career killing.
The writing was on the wall.
I mean, if he was at all observant and saw what was happening with Lord Miller, yet he tried to power play Kathleen Kennedy in the same way, and she called his bluff. Sorry, Colin.
Especially after, like you said, coming off the Book of Henry.
Like, he should have been on his best behavior. And it seems like he was not. He seemed to think he was bulletproof. He's like a Steven Spielberg protege. And maybe he felt like being so close to Frank Marshall and Steven Spielberg offered him some protection. Nope. You're out, buddy. And I assume he still has a good friendship with Steven Spielberg. So again, that'll afford him some opportunities elsewhere, but for a lot of other directors, this summer would have been a career killing.
No, you're right.
Anyway, now we're done about this. Let's move on quickly to Rian Johnson speaking with the New York Times. He had a pretty cool interview. There's a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about here, but we'll have to skip through some of it because I don't want to be here all night. So he spoke with David Itzkoff of the NYT, and he talked about how he got the job as the writer/director for The Last Jedi after almost turning it down. So Rian said, "It was really, really out of the blue. I had a few general meetings with Kathy Kennedy when she took over Lucasfilm. I never thought I was actually in the running because I assumed every director on the planet would want to be doing a Star Wars movie. And then it was sprung on me. It was like a bomb dropped." Okay, Rian, we know you're humble. Your modesty is showing, though, dude. You have a few meetings with these people. Like when you're going for a job interview and they call you back for the second one, right? You know you're getting close.
Yeah, I don't know if it works so much like that in Hollywood, and depending on the meetings and all that,
Right, but if they keep coming back to you, like you get a few meetings, like you gotta sense something's going on, right? Like these guys keep talking to me. Maybe they like what I have to say. Am I really going on here? Don't tell me you had no clue. And anyway,
I don't know. He doesn't look like a liar. Look at that face.
it's not lying per se. It's just it's modesty turned up to 11. Anyway, he goes on. He says, I suddenly realized, oh, this meeting is about this. I didn't try to hide the fact that I was freaking out, but I also said, can I think about it? She was slightly confused, I think. The next few days I couldn't sleep. I thought I was going to do a pros and cons list, but the truth is, it was more a decision from the heart. There was no way I could not do this. Yeah. Right? Like they say, do you want to do a Star Wars movie? Who's going to say, nah?
100%, bro. Like, I went over the article myself, looking at the interview, and that's the first note that I have as well, is that his heart made his decision. Like, how can you not do it? You'll never be able to live with yourself. And the same thing with J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, I mean, he's at first. I mean, that's the thing, right? Now the people that grew up with these movies are now making them, and so how can you possibly? I mean, I guess it's intimidating, and maybe you can make up a good case for not doing it, but holy cow, like you would regret this forever. Okay, so let's talk about the hot button topic here of creative control. So Ryan said, I had figured there would be a big map on the wall with the whole story laid out, and it was not that at all. I was basically given the script for episode 7. I got to watch dailies of what JJ was doing, and it was like, where do we go from here? That was awesome. We're starting to see, right, the collaboration.
I've said it before, it's so hard for me to believe that Lucasfilm and Disney, whoever's really pulling the strings behind this thing, is that they actually went out there and did it like this. Like, I would always have thought that they had a 1, 2, 3 written on a board somewhere saying, this is where we kind of want to go. But the way we hear it from these directors, it's like Ryan just said, I had full creative control. He wrote the story, but at least he wrote it collaboratively.
Well, I would think at minimum, they would say, like, we'd like to move forward with Daisy Ridley for many years into episodes 10, 11, 12, which kind of points you in a certain direction. For example.
That's right, too. This was one of the most interesting parts of the article to me, is when he finally sat down to start writing the story, he said, okay, well, where do I start? Well, I start with Luke. Okay, well, what's Luke's path? Well, he's on Acto. Why is that? So his thought process started going there, and I really like what he had to say about that, in the sense that, okay, he's like, Luke's not hiding anywhere. He's not hiding on Acto. Luke's also not a coward. So there is a significance and a reason for him being there, and he clearly stated that in the article. So, in the interview, so it's pretty big right there. Like, he might have been beaten down a bit, but there's some kind of tidbit that Luke knows that why he's got to be at Acto, which is kind of evident being the first Jedi Temple anyhow, but at least there is that. He's not a coward, and he's not hiding.
No.
None of us want to think of Luke like that either,
No, he didn't, like, tuck his tail between his legs and go hide. He might be in mourning, and he's taken this retreat, but I don't think it's I'm scared and I'm going to hide in the corner. Okay, so he asked, when asked if he was required to include any specific plot points or endgame, Johnson once again dismissed it. Said, nothing like that, but it's the second film in a trilogy. The first film got these characters here. The second movie has to dig into and challenge these characters. I wanted this to be a satisfying experience unto itself. I didn't want it to end with a ... question mark. So, is he saying that this isn't going to end on a cliffhanger ending, Corey? I didn't want it to end with a ... question mark.
Well, look at the way Empire ended. I mean, it kind of was a question mark with a lot of stuff, but it's still in the same regard, like Luke and Leia looking out over the galaxy saying, okay, it's time to regroup. What I really understand from this And I think Daisy Ridley had mentioned something along these lines, saying that even though it's the second in a trilogy, it really feels like its own film.
Yeah. It sounds. I guess you know what. If you come into this knowing that I'm doing episode 8, I'm not doing 9, then yeah, you want to make a movie for yourself that stands on its own. You don't necessarily want to just have it be a lead in and then this open ended thing. You kind of want to do something that stands on its own legs.
Well, there's got to be a general theme that connects all three together.
Oh, no doubt.
But it could still have a conclusion, like the story can be the whole, but you still, it's kind of like Empire again. Like when that movie would have ended the first time you watched it, it's like, okay, they're regrouping. It's not over for the rebellion. Luke's healing. He's going to get stronger, and Lando's going to get Han. That's where we're going to meet him the next time,
Yeah. Well, here's another thing. So in Nathan's email, he'd mentioned that Johnson has said that when he was writing The Last Jedi, he took tons of regular meetings, right, with the story group. And Ryan himself said that he had a bunch of meetings with Kathleen Kennedy and who knows who else was in those rooms with him. So yes, and we know that he sat there and he got to hang out with J.J. Abrams, and he shot. Wasn't he there? He was present. He may even shot the last scene, something like that, right? But the point is, he was there, right?
Yep.
So he's marinating himself with the sets, with the people. Like he's talking with JJ. I would bet my last cent that when he says, "Yeah, I have autonomy," he's right. But I think that's also, he has autonomy because his idea is already filled with ideas that are directly influenced by the many conversations and the countless hours he's had hanging around on set and talking with JJ and talking with Kathleen. Like I think he was, I don't want to say pre-programmed. That's not a right word. But he, like, subconsciously, he knew where to take the story. He knew what everybody was kind of thinking. And then when you contrast it with Trevorrow, you don't get that, right? You don't hear about any of that. You don't hear about Trevorrow on the set. You don't hear about him reviewing what's going on with episode 8.
Well, we've heard Ryan Johnson say that Trevorrow's called him several times asking for advice or bouncing ideas off one another.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, he said it mentioned this piece that Trevorrow has called him a few times, but again, I don't want to put too much importance on it because we don't know the whole story. But why aren't you there? Like, why aren't you immersed in the way that Ryan Johnson is? Could be scheduling conflicts. It just might be just impossible to get there. But it sounds like Ryan was way more gung ho and enthusiastic about making a collaborative film. The more we go along here, the more we see like the stark contrast between the two. One guy just wants to be a team player, and another guy wanted to do it his way.
Yeah, the more articles I read, it really looks like that. And I mean, again, look at Ryan Johnson's face. He just looks like this awesome guy.
This is the guy that came up with porgs. Come on.
Yeah, and for the most part, to me, in my headcanon, it looks like he's living at Lucas Ranch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so we talked about Luke, and one thing he said that Ryan said about Leia. There's a lot here. So anyway, I encourage everybody to go check out this New York Times article. I'll try and link to it in the show notes for the show.
Yeah, good stuff again. Like I said, on Leia's performance and Luke and Rey being at the heart of his story, which is good thing to me.
Oh yeah, yeah, and I think he said that this is Luke's movie, right? I don't know if he said it in this interview, but he has said that before. And then finally, again, just to reiterate for the billionth time, he said that I felt very strongly that we don't try and change her performance, her being Carrie Fisher. We don't adjust what happens to her in this movie. So there you go again. If you needed to hear it again, they didn't change Leia's role.
And this is why he probably won't take up episode 9. He's like, oh, no, that was someone else's problem.
I don't know. Maybe they'll make him an offer he can't refuse. You know what I mean?
I do.
All right. So anyway, I'll link to that story in the show notes. It really is worth a read. Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, no, I want to read that quote because I found it here. So, what is your working relationship with Colin Trevorrow? And this story was written before Lucasfilm had parted ways with Colin Trevorrow. So, it's been very similar to JJ and I. I've given it some trajectory forward, and now I get to see where another storyteller is going to take it. I've been available, and he's shot me questions, but I'm pretty much sitting back and seeing how it's all going to come together for him. Like, I look at that going, I've been available and he's shot me questions. That is a far cry from Ryan being there and filming stuff for his movie. Like, just a really big difference, I think.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
Maybe I'm just reading things the way I want them to be. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay. Take a deep breath and let's move ahead here. So, Poe Dameron has upgraded his X-Wing. Corey, what do you think about that, man?
Well, I don't have that many great thoughts on it. I love that X-Wing.
No, this is what we call like a transitory topic.
Yeah,
we've had a couple heavy-duty ones. We're just going to cool out here, just talk about something fluffy until, we've got a couple fluffy things to talk about here. This is a breather for us.
Yeah, well, T-70 Incom, not a really huge modification, really. They just added a thruster to the back. To me, the way they described it, it's so that they can outrun artillery. So it's kind of like almost like the nitro of the galaxy far, far away in a way. Like, it's a very short burst that's gonna like send you like to the back of your seat, and kind of cool. I like it, I guess. I mean, I like that Poe has these custom things because his X-Wing alone looks very different from the ones we know.
Yeah,
it's already a bit custom, but yeah, why not give your top pilot something like this?
Yeah, but that's exactly what I put in my notes. It's very video game-ish. You specified it exactly. It's the nitro boost.
It's functional though. That's the thing.
I can't help but imagine it's going to get used for something other than its intended purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I see Poe like in a dogfight in space and being like, oh man, like punch it and just outrunning some stuff,
Yeah, well, we don't see it that often though, right? These type of like single customizations. We know the Falcon is modded to hell, and there's other ships are surely customized, but you don't see it. It doesn't seem to be this pronounced.
Not when you're a part of a fleet, like bounty hunters and all that seem to have all these custom smugglers, like you said, but it'd be in the Resistance's benefit to consider stuff like that. It's already all hodgepodge what they have going on over there. So, it's it. Slap a booster here, an extra gun there. Like, they got to maximize what they have, kind of, and kind of get creative.
Yeah. So is this modified X-Wing, is that the one we see in the teaser that it blows up in the hangar?
Looks like it to me. that really did look like Poe's X-Wing. Like, his was pretty unique compared to the others. I got the little, that little die-cast one there, and it looked very similar, and it also looks like Poe trying to run to it.
Yeah, so does he have a second black X-Wing with the thruster on it? Because I always thought that scene was early on in the film, in which point maybe we don't even see Poe use that thruster. It's just there for some unknown reason. But I don't know. Maybe that scene is maybe I'm wrong. That scene is later on in the film.
Yeah, maybe it's the crate scene where he's like, I gotta get into space, and it's like too late.
Yeah, well, I think that's where the First Order maybe boards their ship, and who knows what they do. Anyway, like I said, little fluffy topic there. What would your ship upgrade be?
Shields.
I think he has shields. Or you mean upgrade, just better shields?
Yeah, better shields. Nice sound system would be.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. Those long trips, you might need some infotainment system in there.
Yeah.
I don't think they have that. Like, you would totally want that, right?
Of course, you'd have to, unless you go into like some kind of like hibernation or something. Like, how else are you supposed to just meditate? It's got to be so uncomfortable too. Like, honestly, you can't just sit in a chair like that. There's got to be. They should explain that a little more. And be like, okay, well, like it leans back, turns into a bed. Here's a little small cabin. Hopefully, you're not claustrophobic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You have usually you've got an R2 or a BB unit back there. Maybe you can play online chess or something together.
Yeah, Pong.
That's one way to pass the time.
Porg.
Anyway, let's move ahead here. Thanks to MSW, we've got a new look at the old Falcon, which is a pretty cool thing, man. So, are you ready for like a really different looking and functioning Falcon?
I don't know, to be honest. I kind of thought about it as well. The picture they put up is not the picture of the Falcon. It's just reminiscent of what it possibly could be like. And from what I gather, it's white and blue, clean as hell, and brand new. The brand new part really kind of threw me off a bit. Like, really? Like, I thought this ship was a little, sorry. I thought this ship was ancient in a way. Not ancient, but I got the feeling that it was quite old, that it was a jalopy. When we see it in A New Hope, like, Leia's just like, seriously? Like, everyone's like, that's a piece of junk. Luke's like, seriously? Like, everyone just thinks it's horrible. So that kind of begs the question, if Luke wins this ship, or Han wins this ship from Lando in the Han Solo film and becomes his ship, what the hell did he do to it in such a short period of time?
Yeah, well, I think that's it, right? Like, if it's part, like, Lando's confirmed to be the owner, right? So if Lando's part of some sort of guild and the Falcon has markings on it, if you're part of some up and up association, yeah, maybe you want to keep your ship clean. Maybe. Or maybe the markings signify something that other people need to see. It's brand new.
According to this article, it's brand new. Like, it's a new ship. It's a YT 2100 or
1300.
13. Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. Either way, it's like, it's brand new. Like, honestly, like, it's just so shocking to me. Like, yeah. It's a rust bucket. It's a bucket of bolts when we know it.
It's going to be, yeah, it's going to be a little bit jarring to see the Falcon looking so different. And maybe, and functioning differently, too.
I understand it from a story point of view, because it's Lando's, and Lando obviously has a bit more cash and
style.
Has a little flavor.
Yeah, and we're going to see it doing its thing as far as being a freighter, loading and unloading cargo.
I like that a lot, actually, because I'd seen images of that for the first time in my life. Maybe I'd seen it when I was a kid, but seeing it not too long ago, the way it's supposed to push freight around in space, like with the forks at the beginning, and it kind of like latches onto something, and it can push like huge freight, like huge cargo, huge containers, like that are like whatever, like quadruple the size of the ship. Still push them around. That's probably where the cockpit comes into play. Why it's so awkwardly on that one side. But I like the fact that they can get into the containers as well from the center of the ship. Like, there's like what do you call it? There's like anyhow, there's a door there that can allow them into the container,
Well, do you remember those old Star Wars Topps magazines? We had a few of them, actually.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And they had like short stories in them and all that.
Yeah. So there's some old.
I think I still have one.
Yeah, I have issue 4, and I was just flipping through it randomly a few weeks ago, and they had these like images of prototype toys that never really saw the light of day, and one of them was for this like a little. It was almost like a single person small scout ship type of thing that snuggled in right between those two forward forks on the Falcon. And I wonder if that's going to come into play in this as well. Like, there's just different functionalities to the Falcon that those two little forks, prongs, mandibles, whatever you want to call them, the purpose they served, people had given these things purpose. And I think it's pretty cool we're going to get to see that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like it. It's gonna be weird to see. I'll say that. But hey, I'm looking forward to it. All right, so that's it for the news for this week. Let's get into the binary sunset. We got some awesome questions this week, and we'll kick things off with the inimitable, irreplaceable ads.
Evening, boys. Another episode closer to the big 100. I do hope you're both planning something big for the century. So my question this week concerns Mr. Kylo Ren. Now, we know that he is the leader of the Knights of Ren. Do we think, though, that he used to be one of the Knights of Ren? And maybe we got to witness him kill the previous leader in Rey's flashback. So that's the first question. The second one, a bit more lighthearted. I've sent you separately a list of everyday professions. Pick your chosen Star Wars character that you think best suits that job. I look forward to listening to what will probably be another mammoth show, especially in the light of the recent Mr. Trevorrow news. Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
There's a big one from Mr. Ads this week. Thank you, sir. Lots to play with there, Corey. So let's give this a whirl. So, is Kylo a Knight of Ren?
There's something really interesting there to me. Like, when I first read it, I was like, wow, what is going on? So...
Yeah, it's almost like, well, yeah, wait a sec. Let me think about this. Yeah,
exactly. I'm like, it doesn't fit the timeline, but we don't know the timeline. We don't know the circumstances surrounding Ben or Kylo's turning to the dark side. So,
well,
I don't know.
It sounds more and more like Snoke played some kind of long game. So I don't know that there may not be like, well, there'll be a moment where Kylo puts his line in the sand and says, "I'm now bad." But I think it was sort of a slow burn for Snoke, that he just slowly poisoned him over years and years.
Well, to me, in my headcanon, I guess I had always kind of established that, I don't know, I never really thought about it in this light, but to me, when Kylo turned, it's almost as if he became like, when Anakin turned to the dark side, you're now Darth Vader. I felt almost the same for him, so I never really regarded it in that sense. Like, it didn't fit my headcanon's timeline. Like, I thought it was like instantaneous, like I turned and I'm burning the temple. But that's not necessarily how it went down. What if he left and came back a year later? Like, check me now. I'm wearing a mask. I'm representing Granddaddy. Like
yeah. I still think. Obviously, Kylo Ben. We know in Bloodline that he didn't know, and this is into his mid-20s. He didn't know that Vader was his grandfather. And I still gotta believe that the minute he finds that out, is the moment he goes, "Oh my God, my grandfather was the chosen one?" What? And Snoke is just going to egg him on and say, "Yeah, you have his power. It's within you. And your lame Uncle Luke is holding you back from your true potential. Come with me, and we'll finish what your grandfather started." Woohoo! And then off he goes. To me, that's still more or less what happens to Ben.
Yeah. So the question, like, I like what you're saying there, but it's not like he was necessarily a Knight of Ren right away. And what is Ren? Like, we know Kylo is a play on Skywalker and Solo, but Ren, is it a play on Ben? That would make sense too. So I don't know why, but it really, this question begs the question of the significance of the name Ren to me. Like, where does it come from? Why Ren?
No idea. I could not even begin to tell you where Ren comes from. But I think this question could swing either way. Like, either Snoke sweet-talked him, over years, and finally, when Ben finally decided to sign on the dotted line, one of the perks was, the promise of power, but also giving him command of this fearsome looking group of brawlers, and you can just go do whatever you want and go get it however you need to do it. Or Snoke collects all these people and puts them in like competition against one another and lets the cream rise, and Ben emerges from this battle royale with these other thugs and becomes their master, becomes the master of the Knights of Ren. I think it's one of those two, but I imagine that Snoke installed him as like, you're now the master of the Knights of Ren, and these are your boys.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's kind of the way I had always seen it. But I like what Ads is bringing up here, bringing to the table anyhow, in the sense that the usurping factor, like up until that point, okay, Kylo, I'm so confused. I'm coming with you. Let's do this. Like, what's gonna bring him up to snuff? What's gonna bring him to the Snoke's par? And it kind of almost reminds me of the first new Daniel Craig Bond movie in Casino Royale, the opening scene where he's talking with that guy in black and white, and he's like, I know how you become a double agent. Like, you have to kill two people and blah blah blah, and it's going back and forth with that fight scene in the bathroom, and it's just so hardcore. And the guy asks him, "Made you feel it, did he?" And it's like, it's so good. So that can kind of play into that, and and then Bond just like kills him, no problem, after like considerably, like super easy the second time around, So that's a killer scene, but it could be very well this in that case, like Snoke's like waiting. You're a Knight of Ren. Okay, you're a knight. And then finally he's just like, I get it. I'm going to usurp my master, cut his head off. And Snoke's like, now you understand. Like, you're ready now, you did it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think killing comes easy to him right away. Like, he's got to get the taste for blood. You know what I mean? That I would think someone brought up in the light side of the Force, that would be pretty considerable turn to the dark. Like, once you've done it once, like Anakin did, kind of.
Yeah, it became like
hard to go
this
back
insatiable thing, this bloodlust,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So, yeah, again, I could swing either way on this one, but I tend to think it was just like, you're on my team now, and look, I'm going to give you all these guys to go terrorize the galaxy with. All right, so question 2 was, did he possibly usurp the former leader in Rey's flashback? What do you think?
Well, that's what I was kind of just saying. Like, I don't necessarily think that's the case, but it does. If I was going to play it out in my head, it makes sense, like I just said, in the sense that, getting your bloodlust on, killing your master, kind of like moving forward, gaining power, and through anger and stuff like that. It really, it's an interesting question after having thought about it a bit, Like, at first I was kind of like, well, no, that's not the case. Like, but then I was like, oh, well, wait a minute. We have no idea when he came back to the temple. We have no idea about what happened in that small time period, before Luke decided to get out of there, and when Kylo left and all that. So there could be a time gap there that we just don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's possible. It's possible. I tend to think that Kylo has been the leader the whole time. Maybe an ineffective one.
I do too.
But
like, the way you pointed it out at the beginning is the way I've always seen it, is that Snoke's like, come, we got it all on this side of the pasture, It's all over here.
the pay is better. Our kid,
yeah,
our we have this awesome subsidized calf over here. You get some great.
You get
lunch.
a mask. He gets a mask. He gets a mask. Everybody gets a mask.
Yeah. Come on, who doesn't want a mask? It's like one of the coolest things about Star Wars. So yeah, that's definitely possible, although I don't think so. Number 3. This is fun. I had a ton of fun with this one. Which character would fit into the following job scores? Let's go through this list pretty quickly. Taxi driver. Who in your Star Wars is going to be the taxi driver?
Well, first I just want to see how I tackled the question. Like, I looked at it for the first time last evening, and I almost kind of wanted to go through it like speed dial style, like you just said, Kyle. Just bang them off, whoever first came to my head. But then I got stumped on a few. But either way, a lot of these are the first things that come to my head. So taxi driver. First thing came to my head, Nien Nunb.
Oh, this is perfect.
You like that, eh?
Ah, he's a total cabbie.
I saw it. I don't want to sound racist or anything, but
Oh,
I don't
geez.
know.
You know what they say when you preface a statement with "I'm not racist" or "I'm not trying to sound racist." You know what they say.
yeah, well, whatever. I mean, all these questions. I don't want to be stereotyping. We'll put it that way. But yeah, it's the first thing that came to my head. I was like, yes.
No, I could just picture. I totally just picture him behind the wheel of a cab car.
It's like,
Oh man, that's a good one. I put Poe as a cab driver only because like he's like the cab driver that you pray for every time. Like the cool dude who is just gonna talk your ear off. He's gonna smile at you. He's gonna just make you feel like you want to tip this guy 100% of the cab fare.
yeah, I get you. Like he just knows where you're at every time you get in the cab. It's like, you're super drunk. I know what you need, bro. Like whatever it is, you want to get some with this girl.
Drive through on the way home? You look like you need a greasy burger. You want me to do that for you?
You need a wingman on the way home.
You know, and I also have to like preface this whole exercise by saying I feel like Lando could have fit so many of these roles. Like so many of them I could have plugged in Lando, but I only put him in one. We'll get to that.
Me too. Ooh,
Oh, I hope it's not the same one.
it will be.
Probably. You know, and if they did a remake of Look Who's Talking, remember that movie with Travolta?
Oh yeah, we saw it in the theater.
It would be Oscar Isaac. No doubt.
That's very odd.
Optician. Like, where did you come up with this ads? An optician.
Yeah, this is so good. I love it. Optician, so perfect. The first thing that came to my head, I did it. I got two for you here, ads. Quickly. First one that came to my head, Maz Kanata.
Oh, yeah, man. You said you did this like last night with a bunch of beers in you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's it. That's working. That's a great call.
And my sober one was Reese. A grand.
That is Rob Williams approved.
Indeed.
Mine
and Ben as well.
Yeah. Well, no, I thought Ben really doesn't like Gran.
Something like that.
All right, so yeah, you're trolling. I get it. I went with Captain Phasma. Like, can't you imagine her in her super dull, boring voice like an optician? One or two.
Oh no, I see her all authoritative, like you know, like 1 or 2. like
She doesn't yell.
One. Like, are you? You know,
2.
yeah.
2 or 3. 3 or 1. Like, it's just very stern.
She would have fit more my role of dominatrix or something, you know.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, no. So far, I like your calls better than mine. Although I do like mine, but no, you've raised the bar on these. So, who do you have for mechanic?
I put Poe as a mechanic. I just see it, you know. He just knows how to monkey wrench, get all greasy and whatnot.
Yeah, tough to argue with that. I have Ahsoka only because she is a mechanic in the year following Order 66. So I know it's a lazy answer, but you know she's a mechanic, and I wanted to get Ahsoka on this list. So
there you go. I like it.
Plumber.
All right, I went with the.
That's something we never think
Jester.
about, right? Like plumbing in the Star Wars galaxy, toilets.
Well, the first thing that came to my head kind of was Finn, just because he said sanitation and whatnot. But no, I went with Dexter Jester, just because I could see the crack.
The plumber crack.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a strong call. I went with Saw Gerrera because he's half made of plumbing anyway.
Yeah, so I could see crack there too.
All right, artist. This one's gonna be funny.
Kylo.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see Kylo being the gentle soul of an artist behind that tortured visage, right?
Yep.
I went with Tarkin. I bet
I like
you
that.
anything this guy paints in his what little spare time he has. Look, would you have ever thought W would have been such an avid painter?
No, it's pretty interesting.
Like there's definitely a side of Will Huff Tarkin that we've not yet seen.
And interestingly enough, Peter Cushing was not necessarily a painter per se, but he had a very, very, very extensive model collection in which he painted. I saw a whole
I did not know that.
7-minute bit on it. It was pretty intense. He was really into it.
All right, so I struggled with the next one, farmer.
Yeah, I did too, to be honest. I was actually, when we took our break, I was still trying to come up with some gold there, and I just went with the Clark Kent to the GFFA and with Luke.
Well, he is a farmer, right? I mean, I guess that's the line of thinking I went with Ahsoka. So I guess whatever. I guess we let it slide. It was like I scratched Owen and Beru and Luke from the list.
Good for you, because I did too. I wanted to, and I was just like, I don't know.
Well, here's where you're gonna go. Oh, that's perfect. Malakili. He's a farmer. Come on.
That's the guy who raised the Rancor, right?
Yeah. We can say what kind of farmer he could have. Instead of cattle, he could have Rancor.
That's
I wonder what Rancor tastes like.
That's true. He's a rancher. Rancor rancher.
There you go. Very high fences. Okay, teacher. This is a good one.
Yeah, this is pretty.
There's no shortage of people to choose from here.
Yeah, I went super low hanging fruit. Let's go Han Solo, but more Indiana Jones, because he's, a teacher. But my two big ones, I guess, right away, Yoda. First thing that comes to my mind when you're doing it speed dial style. Definitely Yoda teacher comes to mind. And
Yoda didn't
Qui-Gon.
even come to mind for me.
Really?
Not even.
It's like
Yoda didn't come to mind for any of these.
When I hear teacher and I'm trying to think of Star Wars, it's like, boom, first thing in my head, Yoda. I put Yoda and Qui-Gon, but Yoda.
Yeah, Qui-Gon was almost a farmer, which I can still kind of see. But anyways, so Yoda's your teacher. Tough to argue with that. So my teacher, I have two of them, both out of Rogue One, Mon Mothma and General Draven. And I see them as two effective communicators with wildly different styles. Like, one would make you want to pay attention, and the other would make you afraid of not paying attention.
Oh, God. I could just see myself falling asleep in Mon Mothma's class. And now, we must turn the page. I'd be like, oh, dear.
No, but she's charming, though. She makes you want to listen to her. Yeah,
like, put a little Vaseline on the camera.
It's a very soft voice, I know. But like, she's so eloquent, and there's something very ethereal about the way she stands there in those white gowns, right? Like,
no, you're right. That's a very good way of putting it.
So yeah, she would make you feel smart, and she would subtly stoke the fires of education within you. She'd make you feel like you have a brain.
Yeah, you lift you on high.
Whereas General Draven would just sit there and he'd start lecturing, and if he saw you like writing a note or fooling around on your phone beneath the desk, you're going to learn or you're going to get out of here. Okay, sorry, sir. Okay, wedding photographer.
All right,
I feel like there's only one answer for this one.
Oh wow, dude, I went over my head then. I tried to get creative. I went with Watteau.
Watteau?
Yeah, the angles. Stay right there, I fly up. Oh, beautiful image. Oh, very good.
All right.
Like I said, it's the wing thing.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you points for the impersonation. I'll tell you, the Watteau is not on my list. But okay, whatever. Who's grading this anyway? Leia's my wedding photographer, because I assume that she's had, in her upbringing, she's developed a flair for art and style. But more importantly, like, what do you want from a wedding photographer, right? Discreet. You don't want them being, stealing the spotlight. But yet you want the wedding photography to be polite and sociable to your guests. Like, that's Leia, right?
And she's like an ambassador.
Yeah, and she's definitely discreet, being a rebel spy. Yeah, to me, like, Leia came to my mind right away, and I could not get around that.
I like that. It's all the white robes.
Well, see, yeah, she wouldn't wear that. She'd wear more like her Endor gear, minus the poncho.
Oh yeah, for sure. She'd go total camo. She'd steal the thunder if not.
No, she'd be like, yeah, super dressed down, hair all up. There'd be nothing about her to just like distract from the couple.
Yeah, glasses on, hipster style.
Sure. All right, actor.
I think this is where we might double up, but it's got to be either Lando or Hondo.
All right, well, go explain your choices. But that's not mine. But go ahead.
Okay, well, Lando is just so smooth, so suave. It already looks like when you meet him in that universe that he's already an actor in a way. You know, like I love that, and I think he could just nail some roles. In Hondo, I see him more in a maybe not necessarily an actor, but a late night television show host.
Maybe an internet show. I think it's maybe a little too sketchy for network TV.
Yes. Well, is there network TV in the GFFA? Oh, it's here.
Well, I'm sure it's like Empire sanctioned TV, all propaganda. My actor is Palpatine. Like, who else could he do? Like, who else could do what he did if they weren't like a master thespian? Come on, like the acting job he put on for decades, fooling literally everybody, including his sworn enemies.
Oh, he's good, but he's going to be definitely typecast and role limited now due to his appearance. But
well, you can't imagine like Sheev Palpatine in some sort of like romantic drama.
No.
Why?
I guess it's all the evil that's like personified in each wrinkle and
fair enough.
Ragged tooth.
All right, last one. Podcaster.
I kind of got two here. Well, this is a bit of a loophole in the sense that it's three. But I went with Fode and Bede.
Oh, boo. I think I'm gonna. Yeah. Okay.
No, good. That's too low hanging fruit.
Let's never talk about those two again. I
Either way,
think those two are the worst thing about the Phantom Menace. The worst thing. They're worse than midichlorians. For anybody who's like, oh, the worst thing about midichlorians ruined Star Wars. No, Fode and Bede came close to ruining that movie.
Really? I gotta... I never remember them rubbing me that much the wrong way compared to like Newt Gunray.
Watch it again. It's just terrible. It looks...
Is that a Jedi? You never said there were two of them. Come on. Remember.
Just watch them again. Just watch that sequence. Go on YouTube after, watch the pod race, and just listen to them. They're so stupid. They're as bad as the admirals from Miles from Tomorrowland, a Disney cartoon. They're terrible.
Oh boy. Brutal. Well, whatever. It's just the first thing that came to my mind, but my second choice was 3PO.
I would have 3PO on a podcast, but he would. I guess that makes him a podcaster. You're on a podcast, you're a podcaster. But he wouldn't be the host.
Well, I like that he's the host because he can speak every language, Like, and tonight he could do the translating. Like, Otto, I have a beautiful show lined up tonight. Are you interested? Like, how rude.
Yeah, well, he's too MC for a podcast, I think. You know what I mean? He doesn't have,
yeah.
He doesn't have that...
No, I think he'd have the protocol down in the sense where, it would be a very tight structured show where 3PO would ask the questions he wanted to ask, but it would be like a robotic thing. Like there would be no flow,
Yeah, exactly. It would just be like station to station. He wouldn't have a conversation with anybody.
Well, I'd
be very sterile. A very sterile show.
A sterile conversation, like you said. Like he'd ask his question, get his answer, and be like, moving on. Like,
yeah, that's not cool. Like sometimes you'll ask a question, and you might get a really interesting answer that maybe you want to ask, hey, wait a minute, I'll just stall this question, my next question, because he said something really neat that I want to drill down on. He wouldn't do that. He would just keep going.
Well, I don't know. He came one of first to mind anyhow, just because I know Anthony Daniels loves to talk.
Oh, does he ever?
And 3PO too.
He does.
In a
Like, he can
sense.
be on a podcast. I just don't know that he's the host. Like, I think you need somebody with an actual personality, a breathing creature.
Okay, so this is where your Lando comes in with the smooth, silky voice.
Of course, case closed, man.
That's where I went with the actor because he's got it all. I can see Lando being
Lando
a
twice
dancer.
a week.
He's a
I
triple
would sign
threat.
up to Lando's Powerful Friends program, no doubt. Like he could ask for any amount, and I'd probably pay it.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
for 100 credits, you can come mop my floor. Yeah, I can come mop your floor. Great, take 200 credits a month. Anyway, that's it. I had fun with that one.
I got one more for you, Kyle. I
Ooh,
wrote a
extra
whole
credits
bunch down
here.
afterward. Yeah, extra credits, but I'm going to choose one from the list of 4 I have. And let's go with Cook. Who's your Cook?
Jeez, Cook.
You know who I pictured in my head? Everybody's going to picture this now. Max Rebo with a chef's hat on.
Chewy?
Come on, you're going to get hair all over your food, bro.
Just kidding. Oh, wow. Who is my cook? I bet you Shaq T makes amazing sushi.
I like that.
That could be the end of it for me right there. I bet you Mace Windu could cook. That's about all he'd be good for.
Qui-Gon.
Shots fired. Yeah, Mace Windu I'm sure could cook. Yeah, that's it. That's the bonus question. Good one though. All right, so ads. I hope we answered your questions to your satisfaction this week. I love waiting. So usually we get our email from ads on Saturdays, and I just wait every time I get an email alert on a Saturday. I just run over. Is it ads? Yay! So awesome ads, great stuff again. Looking forward to next week's ads edition. So let's move into some Bradley banter. Hello, Kyle and Corey. Hope all is going well with you and your families, and hope you're enjoying the last weeks of summer. Bradley, we have, as you know, our summer's been kind of a bust, but this coming week, it's going to be like 80 all week. Where was this? I don't know. Continuing on. This past week, we've had below average temps, which is so welcoming this time of the year. Usually our temps are still in the 90s, but not this year. Fall is in the air, which means we are getting closer to The Last Jedi, or at the very least, a Star Wars trailer and definitely a final season of Rebels. I will say on that before I continue, October 16th. That's going to be the day, I think, for the Last Jedi trailer. So
You think that?
yeah. I mean, if they follow the pattern from The Force Awakens, when they did, they dropped the trailer during halftime on a Monday Night Football. I think the Eagles were playing. Was it the Cowboys? Maybe I forget, but definitely the Eagles were playing. Maybe it was the Redskins. And then tickets went on sale like immediately after. It was a crazy night. But so what's neat this time around is that with Rebels being on a Monday, so the Rebel Season 4 premiere for us in North America is Monday, October 16th, which will also be Monday Night Football. So I think Disney, Lucasfilm is going to build that day up. October 16th is going to be a huge day. It's going to be
That's odd. I had no idea that Rebels premiere is on a Monday evening.
Yeah, Rebels is Mondays this year.
All season?
I think so.
Dear Lord.
Well, at least the opener. I think I read that it's Mondays for this season.
if that's the case, it kind of at least gives you something to look forward to on Mondays, because there's absolutely squat on television on Monday.
Yeah, and I can get back to focusing on hockey on Saturday night. Okay, so anyway, I think that's going to be the date, Bradley. October 16th. Mark your calendars. Continuing on here. On to this week's Star Wars questions. Do you think we'll see any Knights of Ren in this movie? I say no. I'm not sure the Knights of Ren even exist any longer. What do you think? So let's start there, Corey. Do you think we'll see any of the Knights of Ren in this movie?
I do think so, to be honest. I think we have to. They've been built up.
Have they?
Some kind of, a little. I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued at least. Like, I want to know more. We don't have to see them, I guess, but I believe we will see them. I think it's going to be a test for both. If Kylo comes at Rey and Luke, I don't think he's coming alone. And I think he's going to want to have the numbers in his court. He's going to want to go head to head with either one of them and let his team dispatch the other.
Well, that's it, right? There's that long rumored sequence. Sorry, everybody, if you're spoiler reverse, but it's conjecture, and it's old conjecture from MSW. So, or not? Conjecture is not the right word. It's an old report, so things very well may have changed. But there's a rumored sequence on Acto of a battle, Luke and Rey versus Kylo and the Knights of Ren. And the battle lines, I'm not sure who squares off against who. I think early, that report said that Luke fought the Knights of Ren just with force powers, whereas Rey fought, it was Rey versus Kylo, number 2. So I don't know. We'll see if that pans out.
Yeah, definitely. I had the impression, from the behind the scenes thing, but now we know the Praetorian Guard and whatnot. But there's definitely been rumors since the beginning that Kylo crashes the party on Act 2.
Yeah, so I'm glad you mentioned that. Now, I do think we'll see them in the Knights of Ren, but is it overkill? Like these masked thugs, like Praetorian Guard, Knights of Ren. Is it too much of that type of character, the armored guy with big weapons?
Not really, I don't think, because there's so many. Look at, it's the theme of the Empire, the First Order, Stormtroopers, the Imperial Guard, Praetorian Guard. They're very similar. We've just never seen anything. I like the whole thuggish factor of the Knights of Ren. Each one of their masks, we've never really fully gotten a full canon look at them. At least I haven't, of what they're really actually supposed to look like. I've seen some images that I don't know if they're canon or not, but some of them are just so cool looking.
Yeah, no kidding.
I want to know more about them. Are they force sensitive? I think Kylo still needs his entourage, but maybe Snoke's you know what? I'm killing them all. And you're done with them. It's training time, I could see that too, I can see them being overwritten, but at this point they've built them up quite a bit. They're in force visions and whatnot.
That's what I mean. When you say they're built up quite a bit, they're in one shot. Right? They're in one shot in a flashback sequence where we're not quite sure when that exactly is.
No, you're right. So, but it seems to be a pertinent part of the story, that vision.
Oh yeah, it's the most important part of that movie, really. But
we look at his name being Kylo Ren, the Knights of Ren. I would think that the antagonist has his posse in this one. We didn't get to see them in the first one. They gotta have a bit. In this one, it's almost like a bit of a reveal of them to me. It's here we are, all these. At long last, you've heard about us for all this time, and here we are.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're going to be in the movie. I think that report will pan out. But I don't think it's as crazy as it sounds to suggest that they may not exist anymore. I don't think it's,
I like that.
Don't you find it a bit strange that we've not seen not only no images from production that have leaked out with these guys, but no toy leaks. Like, are they still
That's
not
true,
making?
too.
Like, usually we see, like, I think we've seen, like, way in advance, images from toy leaks, right?
You're very right there, because, yeah,
We've got nothing here.
that does make it a little more interesting in that sense.
So,
Maybe Kylo, because his Force vision, again, we don't know when it took place. Maybe Kylo killed his whole clan, like Ads was saying, instead of usurping the Master, he killed his entire clan long ago.
maybe he's lost his temper with them, and you incompetent boobs, and just chopped them all up.
Yeah, we don't even know necessarily if they exist anymore, even in the Force Awakens. He doesn't speak of them.
Well,
they're not. They're not with him
exactly
on Jakku.
Now you're coming over to Bradley's side. There you go.
Interesting.
It's a toy thing, right? That's the one that makes
I'm
you think
scratching
twice,
my
right?
beard here, Bradley. It's not literally like 1/100th of yours, but
Yeah, but it was a toy thing, right? You would think that we would have seen something by now, unless they're just not doing toys of the Knights of Ren.
that's really interesting. Yeah,
All right, so
and because that's a toy I want. That would be a toy in the 6-inch that would be to die for, I think.
oh yeah, to have all the Knights of Ren Black Series? Come on.
Oof, that's hot.
And you know that everybody wants those things, right? And you just know, like, I don't know how many of those Knights of Ren there are. I think there's 8 of them. 7 of them would be easy to find, and that one would be some kind of exclusive or like the short shipped one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, those would be frustrating to get all of them. Oof.
It's like the Dinobots.
Yeah, exactly like the Dinobots. Okay, moving along. Also, in last week's release of IDW adaptation of The Force Awakens, we find out that the clan leader that was killed by Kylo Ren in Rey's Forceback vision was holding a lightsaber. What do you make of this revelation? Artist interpretation, or is there something to this? What do you think, Corey?
I don't know. A pretty reliable source on the internet, on Twitter recently that I follow. He put out something not too long ago. A lot of stuff in the timeline didn't work, but I mean, he went full on. This guy's usually kind of somewhat spot on, and he was going off on saying that that's Rey's parents. Like, those are Rey's parents. It makes sense in the sense that the vision is her vision. It's kind of awakening what was repressed within her. But timeline-wise, there's a big problem there.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know of both their ages, right?
Correct. Yeah, but you know what? I think there's still room there to play. So what we're talking about is the clan Toriboda, who are in Guardians of the Wills, that book by Greg Rucka. So do yourselves a favor right now. Hop on Google, go into Wikipedia, and just search Clan Toriboda, and then look at the image that they give you on the right hand side, and tell me that that's not the dude, or if it's not the dude, it's not somebody wearing the same stupid hat that Kylo stabs through the chest. That has got to be somebody from Clan Toriboda. So who are these people? Who are the Clan of Toriboda? They're like this nomadic tribe, right? If you just read through what's on the Star Wars Wikia.com, right? They're just this clan, and I think they're somehow connected to the Jedi, to the Church of the Force. Well, let's back this up. So this clan Toriboda, they're on Jeddah, right? We've seen this in Guardians of the Wills. You can read it for yourselves on starwars.wikia.com. This is info that is out there. And I think that paths are converging in canon here. Because in issue 38 of Star Wars, Luke is going back to Jeddah, which is an astonishing revelation. It's going to be... Oh boy, it's getting late, so I can't remember the writer. Kieran Gillen is taking over this main Star Wars title. And in his first issue, he's putting Luke back on Jeddah. And which is, wow, that's mind-blowing. So when I saw this, the first thing that came to my mind was, holy cow, this is all making sense. Luke is going to set up his academy on Jeddah. Like, he's going to learn about what this place means to the Jedi historically. And he's going to try and reestablish that at some point in the post-episode 6 years. So I think that's what's going to happen here. I think part of the Force back was on Jeddah at Luke's Academy with Kylo slaughtering what's left of this clan. And maybe these guys have Luke's lightsaber, his original trilogy one, the one that Rey now has. They kind of keep it as a talisman or a relic of the past, like something that belonged to the chosen one. You know what I mean?
Well, Luke's not the chosen one there, but
No, but Anakin had that lightsaber at one point.
Which one?
The Skywalker family lightsaber.
Okay.
Okay, so let me read a bit more what Bradley said to make a bit more sense. So Bradley continues, if we go back to the official The Force Awakens trailer, during Rey's Forceback vision at the 123 mark, we clearly see Kylo Ren standing in the rain with his lightsaber in his right hand and another lightsaber in his left hand. Is this the lightsaber of the clan leader, or could it be Luke's? And I think what Bradley means is the Skywalker family heirloom lightsaber.
No, I interpreted him as saying it, meaning is it green?
Really?
Oh yeah, because I mean,
I was always convinced. Like, I think green is irrelevant. I think green's gone, man. Or either Luke may still have it, but I think in this case, everything's focuses.
Green is a significant part of this story. I would hope. Why does Luke not have green? What happened to green? He just threw it in a lake.
He might have it. They've just not advertised it.
Bro, come on. At all signs point to no at this point.
Oh yeah,
in my
they
opinion.
do. They do. But he might.
I think there's many this has to be a storyline for me in this story. Is it Kylo's? Did Kylo crack his green saber, make it bleed red? Or Snoke, did he turn it black somehow and make a ring out of it? I don't know. But it has to be like, Luke, where is your saber? Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Moving on. I have this zapper prod thing. Like,
I got this cool electric prod. Does that count? Yeah, no, dude. I think there's something to this here. Like, I know the timeline maybe doesn't work, but I think there's something going on here. Like, I'm convinced that Luke's Academy is on Jeddah.
What doesn't make sense?
That much I
like that. I like that a lot. And what, it's kind of funny. We had talked about this a long time ago. I'm sure you don't remember now. But I kind of asked you guys, what happened to Jeddah? What do you guys think happened to Jeddah? Is it destroyed? Is it, like, written? And you guys were like, oh, yeah, planet gone. No more planet. Like, no more Jeddah. No one can live on Jeddah. Now, I was kind of like, no, I disagree. I think it's going to heal itself in a way,
Well, maybe Jeddah City. We gotta go back to the tapes and find out. Because,
we were talking about the planet as a whole. And I was like, wow, I hope the planet kind of survived. I know it was kind of like a cataclysmic thing, but I didn't write it off the map.
Anyway, so obviously Luke is back there not very long after the Empire blows Jeddah City off the map. I mean, this is a couple of years after. I don't think we really know where we are between Empire and A New Hope at this point. Let's just say halfway, if that. So this is really a year and a half after Jeddah City's been wiped off the map. Not that long, really.
So, yeah, nuclear winter's over.
So anyway, I think it's very possible that part of the Force back that we see is Kylo on Jeddah attacking the temple and taking or trying to take the lightsaber. Maybe it's green. Maybe, I don't know. It's got to be one of Luke's sabers, and they take it away. Kylo and the Knights of Ren take it away from the clan Toribota on Jeddah.
I don't know. Like, how would Maz get it afterward? Is Maz gonna steal it from the Knights of Ren afterward?
Well, unless you're right, unless it's green, in which case Maz has had blue the whole time.
Yeah, that's more the way I see it. Like, she's kept it. That's been a secret, hidden, waiting for the balance.
But again, like stuff in the trailer, I think in the final cut of the movie, the shot is cropped so you don't see Kylo holding that saber. So I don't even know if that really counts anymore. But I think if we did, I'll go take a look. But I would bet money that it's the blue lightsaber, just because that's the one that saber is such a focus of Episode 7.
Well, just from this Twitter guy that I follow, I don't want to mention names or anything, but I'm seriously leaning in that direction, just because, like, it makes sense to have Rey associated with that clan. I just don't know how Kylo comes into play though in the timeline. That's what doesn't make sense. Like, she was so young being dropped off on Jakku, you know?
Yeah, no, there's some issues there. And I know who you're talking about, and I questioned the timeline issues, to which I got no reply. But
yeah, me too.
There's something there. There's something I think there's something there to be worked with. All right, so finally, do you think I'll finish Bradley's question here? Question 2, 3, or 4. Who's counting? Right. So far in all the Star Wars movies, we have lost only one droid that we really cared about. Rest in peace, K2SO. Do you think we will lose another droid of any significance in any of the future Star Wars films? If so, who will be sent to the spice mines of Kessel and smashed into who knows what? My money's on C-3PO. Carlos. By the way, he's my favorite droid. Uh-oh. Carlos doesn't know whether to be happy or sad right now. Well, guys, thanks for letting me banter once again. It's our pleasure, Mr. Bradley. It's cheaper than going to a therapist. Hope everyone has a wonderful week and stay safe. Oh, one last thing before I go. Rian Johnson. That's who I want for director of Episode 9. Either him or Director Krennic. Both have proven they can take on big projects and see them through to the end. Later, guys, and may the Force be with you always. Cheers. Bradley Hall from the greatest state in the Union. Wow, is that shots fired? Greatest state in the Union?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. They're all great states, right?
Of course.
What is the state motto for Texas?
For Texas?
Is it what's on the license plate?
Don't mess with Texas.
Really, the only one I know. I mean, New York has Empire State, which is boring, but New Hampshire's of live free or die. Like that, to me, that's the bar. That's the coolest one.
Of course, dude. That's the only one that comes to my mind as well.
Anyway, so Corey, any droids that of significance going to get the axe at some point?
Well, at this point, I get what he says about K2. The ones we know and love, R2.
R2's safe.
In my head, R2's safe. To me, R2 is the one originally, and this is what I love about Star Wars. It's Lord of the Rings style storytelling in the sense that supposedly what it really should be is R2 recounting the 100-year tale of the Chosen One, kind of. And it's coming on that margin now. Like we've taken it 60, 70 years in. It should be a 100-year thing where R2 recounts that tale and lives. He's like the Samwise Gamgee of this thing. I don't see 3PO going just because him and R2, they have to remain together. I can't see 3PO's death serving the story any purpose, really, Like, he's got to live. Just be oblivious to the whole thing and live. The only one that makes sense to me at this point is, sadly to say, it's my boy Chopper. I mean, we know he makes it through to Rogue One, but we still don't know if Hera Syndulla's story is over. Like, I've been pushing for that a bit lately. I'd like to see more of her. Maybe an animation. Maybe Filoni's next project has to do with that. And, Chopper's not going to live forever, man. Like, he's a hero. He already has kind of lived forever in droid terms.
Like, he's already obsolete, right?
Not only, well, he's not obsolete. Come on, bro. The things he does.
Well, I didn't say he's unimportant. I said he's, like, technologically wise, he's obsolete.
Not really, because he still gets the job done every time. They keep giving him those upgrades. It's more like his vessel, his body, his shell. Like, he's old. I think Hera's replaced like almost every part of him at this point. He's hodgepodge.
Yeah, he's a bucket of junk.
But he still always gets the job done. That's what I love about him, and I think that's where it gets us in the feels the most. The only other way they can do it is by introducing a new character like K2SO. Chopper's been with us a while at this point, so that would be a pretty significant death, at least to me. But yeah, no way they're getting rid of R2 or 3PO for me.
No, I don't think so. Definitely not R2 or 3PO. Like, no chance. No chance. BB-8, I would still say, I think all these droids, I would even say your boy Chopper is relatively safe. Like, I don't think they're going to kill off these droids. We're not going to see them get crushed by an AT-AT or blasted by a TIE fighter. I don't see it. Like, it's a little bit trauma. Like, we could see it and have them, like, R2 gets blasted, right? And rebuilt.
Yeah, we see it once, and then he comes back shinier than ever.
Yeah, and he gets shot up again in Jedi, and again, he's repaired. I guess you could see that. Like, 3PO's been blasted apart and put back together. He's lost an arm, had it put back on. That could happen. But I know, as far as like ending that character, I don't know. I think they're such fan favorites, especially with the younger crowd. And like you said, what purpose does it serve to knock off that type of character, right?
Like, granted, his point was K2SOs was, for a lot of people, if you put it to a voting scale, K2's was almost the most pertinent death and most emotional death in Rogue One, which is really surprising.
Yeah, his death is by far the most impactful for me. In fact, most of the other ones, I'm like, meh, okay.
Well, I think, to me, Jin and Cassian, the other ones fell a bit short. Like, Baze fell really short. Bodhi fell short. Even Chirrut, very Hollywood predictable kind of deal.
Yeah, I felt like he could have survived that. But anyway, that's nitpicky. They had... It's because reasons. That's why these guys died.
They got the job done. That's what matters.
Yep. Wrap it up, guys. Yeah, so that's yeah, I agree. In standalones, yes, they'll keep giving us these endearing droids like K2 and then destroy them. Just because they can, and that's where they can do that kind of thing. But in the sagas, now the characters just become too endearing. Can you imagine them like stomping BB-8? Like flat like a pancake. Done.
Kicking him like a soccer ball.
Not gonna happen. Like, imagine like Kylo Ren finally, there's that droid, and just hacks him in half. No way.
Yeah, that'd be pretty traumatizing, especially for R2 for me. Like
unnecessarily
like
so, right?
Sliding in half.
Unnecessary. Like, usually a character death serves a purpose. That I don't think that would, other than shock value. Okay, Bradley, sir, thank you again. Great questions this week. Looking forward to next week's as usual. And I hope you enjoyed the kickoff to the NFL season, sir. All right, and up next, it's Katie. Very simple question this week from Katie. What is your favorite trooper variant, Corey?
That's a really good question, to be honest. Like, I had to go back on and look at everything, but I think the answer is pretty evident right off the bat for me.
Like, we've spoken about this, but that was a while ago, so maybe your
it's
answer's
trooper
changed,
variant,
right?
eh? Trooper variant.
Yep.
Okay, so I kind of tended to go a little more toward the Clone Wars era stuff, because there's just so much variety there. And I kind of had the feeling that's where Katie was going, because I know she's a huge fan of the Clone Wars. As I'm eye, but I've always loved the classic old school Stormtrooper helmet. I love the angular features of it. Really cool helmet to me. Like I'm looking at mine right now. It's so cool. I love it. But when I'm thinking of trooper variants in that regard, I'm thinking clone troopers, and I had to go with the ARC Trooper.
Yep.
There's just so much going on there because it's like an evolution between what was going on, and it's like a great melding of both generations with a little flair sometimes too, in the Tartovsky stuff. And
you said it. There you go.
What? It's like the, they got like the almost like the Spartan thing in the middle there. There's a lot going on, but it's more, to me, it's the eyes. The eyes really, it's just starting to blend both generations really, and they're mean looking.
Oh, they are. Yeah, like traditionally my answer is Snowtrooper, and it really doesn't matter to me which ones. Like the Imperial Snowtrooper I love. Maybe that's the Canadian in me. Like, hey, there's the guy that plays in the snow.
It's the Cobra Commander.
Yeah, I've always, from the time I was little, that's been my favorite Stormtrooper variant. And then we saw the ones from Attack of the Clones, the ones that gunned down Ki-Adi-Mundi. Amazing trooper. I love that suit. The one from the First Order, they're a bit of a departure. They're a lot cleaner looking, but I still dig it. But yeah, just for the sake of mixing things up, it's Tartakovsky's ARC Trooper. I love those things. I love.
They're mean looking.
I love that series. Like, the more I think about that series, the more I'm like, man, that was so cool.
It really is. Like, dude, to be honest, I've been watching it a bit with my son lately. I get a few minutes in here and there, but I've been watching it on the side, and yeah, man, like you can just download it as a whole movie now, which is so cool.
Yeah, I've got both on DVD. I watched it last year. It is so cool.
It's a different vision, and it's hard to disassociate that from Filoni's Clone Wars. Like, a lot of that I still take to heart. Like, I still say, oh, like, this is so much more cooler canon, so I'll just like insert that in my head there. Like, I like that there.
Yeah, the one thing I did not like is the voice actor for Anakin. So wooden. Hayden Christensen got critiqued for being wooden. Oof, the Anakin actor in that, no bueno.
No, I know what you mean.
Anyway, there's this dude, Finnegan's Market. Nobody listening knows what that is, except maybe
James.
Except James and Eric.
Carlos.
Eric, maybe Carlos. Carlos, do you know what Finnegan's Market is? Anyway, everybody, it's an outdoor market not too far from here. Antiques, old kitschy stuff.
It's it's kitschy antiques, way overpriced, and like
way overpriced.
super like in the valley, man.
Yeah, like crafts. There's farmers go and sell their honey and stuff like that. It's a cool little place to spend a Saturday afternoon. But there's a guy there who's got a few tables selling vintage toys. And I always like to just stop in and chat with the guy. And he's got loose figures, like loose Star Wars, new and old. He's got He-Man stuff. He's got some Voltron toys. He's got all kinds of stuff that I just love to pick up and hold. But I know if I start spending money there, I won't stop. But anyway, he's got about a zillion loose like clone troopers from the prequel era. There's so many different types. I couldn't even begin to name any of them. Like, I know.
Why are you telling me this?
Are you going to run over there next Saturday and buy them all?
Pretty much. Well, no. Go on. Keep selling it.
Well, anyway, like, just so many of these troopers are so cool looking, but I'm like, where's that from? Like, I don't know what any of these things are. So anyway, that's what made me just start thinking again. Like, okay, move off Snow Trooper just a bit and think a little bit deeper on, find another trooper that you think is really cool. And that's when I came to Tartakovsky's ARC Trooper, the one that carries that giant Gatling gun.
Oh yeah, exactly. He always just clears the way. Eh?
I love him. So, Katie, there you go. And next time I go out there, I'll snap some pictures if that guy is still selling by the time I get out there next.
Yeah, seriously, man. Like, dude, I'm gonna fight you for it next week. I'll meet you there, bro.
I'm not buying. I don't even know how much they cost, but they're sure not like $1 each.
It's a bundle.
Yeah, if you want to negotiate with the guy, you go right ahead.
Oh hell yeah, that's what those things are all
Yeah,
about.
I'm sure they are. I hate negotiating.
Bro, don't feel shame for that. That's what they want.
No, it's not shame. It's just I can't be bothered.
I can. It's so fun. Bro, come on.
Hey, go for it. Knock yourself out, man. I'm telling you, he's got tables of the stuff. He's even got the he's got some vintage 12-inch figures. Just sitting there loose on a table.
Like how vintage is vintage?
1978. Like all the way back, dude.
He's probably asking way too much.
$30-$40 depending on, like, there's no accessories, but some still have like the clothes and whatnot, so it varies. But if you like to negotiate, you can just go nuts. Do your best Obi-Wan.
What are you doing next weekend?
Not going to Finnegan's Market. I can only take getting in and out of that place once a summer.
Really?
The traffic at that place, it's nuts. Come on. Anyway, Katie, thank you. All right, we're gonna close things up here. Any Seinfeld fans? Yeah? No?
Me? Yeah.
Is anybody left listening at this point, 2.5 hours in? Jeffrey is back, everybody. And Jeffrey says, as I sit here at work with nothing to do, while listening to episode 91, of course, I just came up with a question for episode 92. Now knowing that you and Corey are not only Star Wars family, you are Seinfeld family as well. Here's a good question for two of you to chew on. Which two Seinfeld characters would you place in the Star Wars universe? And which two Star Wars characters would you place in the Seinfeld universe? Can't wait to hear your answers. Corey, I can't wait to hear yours. So let's have your first Seinfeld character that you're going to move over to Star Wars.
Well, because I got two good ones, but I got to throw this one out here quickly, just because it needs a mention. It's not my choice, but I've got to say Newman. Just, he'd be so close. Like, he'd be Hondo-ish, but I just don't see him getting by. You ever see, his role in Jurassic Park, more or less? That's what would kind of end up in, he'd try and screw people over, but no, he'd get burned badly. But he kind of reminds me, he could be the As Morgan of this galaxy in a way.
Yeah.
Just a character you absolutely love to hate. And yeah, and funny enough, I can't remember, I don't know his name, but the character, the gentleman who voices As Morgan does that one episode, that early episode of Seinfeld where they're in the waiting room for the Chinese food restaurant. And he goes, I yell caught right? For.
Yeah, that's James Hong.
So funny.
Yeah, no, that's a word we use often here, iconic. Yeah, no, I like that you called Newman the As Morgan. As I thought about Newman, I was like, nah, but no, that's pretty accurate. I like that. All right, so I'm shifting over. J. Peterman, Ewok Warlord and Raconteur. Imagine Peterman in the Ewok village doing his best Apocalypse Now and telling stories of war to the Ewoks.
Yeah, he'd be passing on tales of 3PO. He left me here in his stead.
Thor. After seeing the urban sombrero.
Oh God.
Yeah, J. Peterman, man. I love that. He's probably in my top 3 Seinfeld characters ever.
He's pretty good.
Like, wouldn't Jerry himself be a good character?
It depends what he's doing.
Just
That's what
making
you gotta kind of look about
observations.
too.
What's the deal with no handrails?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true.
All right, next. Who's your next?
Well, the number one, I mean, he jumps right off the bat. It has to be Kramer. I mean, come on. Kramer, he's just going to fall ass backwards into this galaxy. And...
You dug real deep, huh? You moved Newman and Kramer over.
Come on. Well, Newman I didn't choose. Newman I said I had to give a shout out to. But Kramer, he has to be mentioned just for the sake. It's Kramer. I mean, this is the guy that lands in this galaxy, has no idea what's going on, and just lands ass backwards into money, all kinds of stuff. Like it's Kramer. Like,
I'm Kramer. Doesn't he say that in one of the episodes? Like, he just knows.
Not only that,
he knows he's got it.
Yeah, exactly. His name's also Cosmo.
That's true. That is true.
Kramer's Snoke.
Confirmed. Okay, I want you to picture this. I want you to picture the Senate chamber. They're debating. It's a very big issue. Mazameda summons the delegates from Del Boca Vista and its senators Estelle and Frank Costanza addressing the Senate. And just imagine how in that Senate pod, they completely forget why they're there and they just start barking at each other. Just imagine the argument that those two get into on the Senate floor.
Yeah, I could totally see that.
Like, the whole thing would just devolve into a shit show instantly. And it would be hilarious. Why are we impeaching a senator? Blah, blah, blah. What? Oh, it would be the best. I had some
that would be pretty good.
Honorable mentions here. Crazy Joe Davola.
Ooh. He's a Knight of Ren.
He could be like some sort of twisted bounty hunter. Putty. Whenever you talk about Seinfeld, I'll talk about Putty. So Putty, who is actually my favorite Seinfeld character of all time. And Leslie. Who's Leslie in Seinfeld?
Leslie. Oh God, that rings a bell.
She created something. Lobot would like it. The puffy shirt. Would you want Lobot to shake the hand of the person who made his style iconic?
Yeah. She's the low talker, right?
Yes, she's the low talker. All right. So now we got to shift 2 Star Wars characters over to Seinfeld.
No, I want to give my last one.
Okay, you have some honorable mentions?
Yeah. Well, Newman again was my choice. Kramer was my choice, and my second choice is Bob Sacamano.
Who is Bob Sacamano?
That's a loop. It's a loophole. He is the man within the GFFA. Everyone in Star Wars is talking about Bob Sacamano, but no one knows who Bob Sacamano is.
Like, he could be like Duquesne.
He could be Snoke.
I guess he could be Snoke, yeah.
I love Bob Sacamano. I think he'd be perfect in that galaxy. Everyone's always talking about him, and no one knows who he is.
I wanted to work in the wealthy industrial billionaire Alfred Pennypacker.
Yeah. Or we'll get that. We're gonna get we're gonna book a gig for the maestro on Canto Bight.
Yeah, the other guy. All right, so now let's move 2 Star Wars characters to Seinfeld. Who you got?
I think the first one that hangs out, who's weird enough to understand these guys, is Hondo.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he fits right in with the Kramer Newman crowd.
Exactly.
There's a lot of shady people. He's definitely
Slippery Pete.
Yeah. I got a Slippery Pete roll coming up here. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly say Jar Jar, and I'm just thinking of a Jar Jar Kramer team up episode. Like, imagine putting Jar Jar into the arc where Kramer goes to L.A. and then is wanted for murder. You remember that one?
Yeah, of course.
Jar Jar fits into that perfectly. Ooh, Misa?
Yeah, I like that.
That'd be perfect. Okay, so next.
I like that. All right, well, my last and only one, kind of a bit of a heart wrencher, but you can take Julia Louis-Dreyfus out of this and add Princess Leia.
You're like substituting Leia for Elaine?
Yep. They're very similar. Like this, Elaine's almost the way I like to look at Leia behind the scenes, you know? Like, she's still kind of laid back, she's still kind of cool, she's still reserved, you know, like...
But I get it. Yeah, I sort of see it, but at its core, I mean, Leia's a good person, whereas George, Jerry, Kramer, Elaine, they're not good people. But I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, I took it from a different perspective there. I know what you mean, but yeah.
I can just imagine them both face palming over the same things.
Yeah, the sponge.
Well, I guess we gotta mention Lando. I think he'd do quite well for himself in our world.
Yeah, he'd be quite the entrepreneur.
He would fight Kramer for that Technicolor Dreamcoat. Like he would drop his Baron Administrator cape in a heartbeat for that Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Now what do we have here?
And then I have Greedo in the Slippery Pete role.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, the whole I don't know, like Frogger thing. Greedo seems to fit that.
I like it.
Yeah, Greedo is my Slippery Pete.
I hope Jeff. I really hope you like this one because I'm thinking about it all now, and that was pretty Seinfeld intense. Rob Williams would love it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think Rob may have turned it off the minute we said Seinfeld. Okay, there we go, guys. Jeffrey, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I could probably do this all night, just trying to go with deeper and deeper cuts, and just until we tap out on Seinfeld references.
Yeah, Seinfeld, even like Ad's question, you know, the creativity behind these ones, they take like our due diligence.
No kidding. I mean, it's no joke when I say like the Binary Sunset. You guys have just brought it hard lately, and it's made, at least for me, it's made doing this show a lot more fun. I don't know if you guys are enjoying the show anymore, but I sure am, because the questions have been super fun to prepare for. Love it.
No, I agree, man. It's a lot of homework, and I love the creativity behind it.
Yeah, no, it's great, guys. Thank you so much. We really, really, really appreciate the thought that you guys, I mean, it can't be easy every week to try and come up with a question or two, but you guys do it, and you do it really, really well. So thank you, guys. And thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 92 of the Tumbling Saber podcast. Thank you, Ads, Bradley, Katie, and Jeffrey for the questions once again. We had to dig deep. Hopefully we didn't disappoint. Special thanks to Carlos for your incredibly generous review. Remember, JR's Toy TV on YouTube. That's Carlos and his little guy's new project. Go check that out. And again, thank you to Nathan for your great insight on the director's situation in the new era of Star Wars storytelling. So that's it. Sith Disturbers. We're back this week. No idea what we're going to talk about, but if you are not part of our Powerful Friends program, head over to Patreon and get on board, because we're giving away Old Man Luke. And we gave away...
Times two.
And we gave away a 40th anniversary Tusken Raider a couple weeks ago to Stu Baca. So, I mean, we're giving away things here, man. Some cool things. So get yourself enrolled. Get some exclusive podcasts. Make some friends. Who doesn't want more friends? And you know what? I think that I've got to pause right there. I know it's almost 3 hours in, but we got to mention, like, the most important part is, like, you're instantly part of what has to be one of the most tightly woven communities in all of Star Wars fandom.
I totally have to agree with you there. To be honest, like, the Commonwealth is just insane. How far across the world it's spread, and how close everyone is, and how accepting and understanding and diverse the whole group is. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and you know what? In regards to this podcast, not only this week but in previous weeks, it's a thing, and we talked about this thing a lot today. The buzzword of the day, it's collaboration. And some people do it well, and others don't, Colin. And like this podcast is a direct result, I think, of a lot of collaboration and camaraderie, frankly, from the Star Wars Commonwealth. So again, thank you everybody for making this show so much fun to do on our end. All right, with that said, Corey, if people want to collaborate with you on the social media, where can they go to find you?
Well, first of all, I want to say that I unleashed my Tumbling Saber email account not too long ago, and it's with a Z, double E, at tumblingsaber.com, and I've received several emails this far, and they have been so incredibly amazing. So fun. We're going to talk about that on Sith Disturbers, but wow, they were fun, man. You can send me anything, and I really want you to reach out to me at Chop Rules with a Z on Twitter, baby.
Awesome. I'm at Tumbling Saber on Instagram, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Come say hi. And listen, like I said, our powerful friends are going to get Sith Disturbers on Friday. It's only for them. So if you want to hear us talking more Star Wars and other random musings, you got to go over to patreon.com/tumblingsaber. Sign up for $2 or $3 a month. Get in there, get yourself into the draw, and instantly join this awesome community of superb people and Star Wars fans. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, another really, really long episode of the podcast. I hope that's okay with you guys. It's taken up a lot of your time. But I'm sure you'll tell us if it's going on too long, like I am right now. So have a good week, everybody. We'll see you later on this week. Bye for now.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see? Blind to see that you needed me, all of me. Well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening, every moment, wanting all of you. And I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you. I'm watching you walking away from me. Were you watching me? Was it just